subjective anyway. Daddy's in. Daddy, how's it going?
Daddy's here.
Why isn't Liam here and stuff? I just want to see him be like, oh, fuck's sake. Just have him just panicking. Well, glad you could make it on. I'm glad we can make this happen. Hopefully, you won't melt everyone's brains in the chat like last time.
Last time was pretty brutal. Everybody was just like left and right at me, you know?
Yeah, it was a bit crazy. But that's how these things get, though. They get a bit crazy, but it's all good. Well, anyway, let's have a chat then.
I just have like
Let's have a chat about. Basically, I'm not just going to talk to you about logic. I just want to talk to you about veganism as well, and it's about it,
right.
and why I think it's a good thing and why I think it's beneficial and everything as well. But I mean, is there anything you first? Obviously, you saw our response and stuff, so I'll give you a chance to reply to that first. Was there any points you wanted to necessarily bring up?
I don't know. To be honest, I just kind of woke up.
Okay.
And I saw you streaming. I was like, oh yeah, and I don't have work in a few hours. I'll have work in a few hours, so I was like, yeah, I'll get on. So
okay, got some.
I don't know what points. I don't know. My mind's pretty blank right now. You know, this might be your chance to destroy me on stream. You know.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's talk to you about veganism, right? But I'm going to do this in a completely different way to what most people do. All right, I'm going to first. I first want to talk to you about dairy. What's your opinion on dairy?
Dairy?
Dairy, milk, cheese.
Oh, dairy.
Egg. Well, not eggs, just milk and cheese, yogurts. What's your opinion on that?
Right. So I don't know. Milk. I guess it's milk.
Yeah. I mean, do you know?
I don't.
Do you know how milk gets to us? Do you know that the process involved in dairy? Because a lot of people don't. They don't.
Oh, are you talking about like milking the cows and stuff? And
yeah. So what is the kind of process?
Enclosed place.
Yeah. So
yeah,
what kind of happens? You know, from start to finish. Do you know the general kind of pattern of how the dairy industry works? I mean, I can explain if you're not sure.
I don't really
I'm happy
know.
to explain it to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, you know, milk is produced by the cow in the same way that milk's produced by any other mammal when they're pregnant. So to retrieve milk from a cow, it has to be pregnant. So what we're doing is forcibly impregnating animals to then let them give birth so we can take their milk. The babies, if they're male, chances are they'll become either veal beef or something like 20,000 a year in the UK are just shot in the head because they're seen as a byproduct. The females will then go on to have the same fate as their mother. And basically what will happen is they'll be continuously impregnated and have their children stolen away about 5 or 6 times in their life until they can't give any more. And then they're sent to the slaughterhouse and bolted in the head. Do you think that's ethical?
Well, is there another way to get milk?
No. They have to be pregnant.
Well.
And you take the.
Okay, so they have to be pregnant, right?
Yeah.
And
it's either way, you have to exploit their reproductive system. There's no other way around it. It can't be done.
Yes. I think it's like, although it's like, you know, politically incorrect to say, politically correct to say that's wrong, you know, but let's just, well, I'm going to go with more realistic route. Like,
Yep.
For instance, obviously we do need food sources, okay?
Yep.
And you can tell that by our ancestors in the past have domesticated these types of animals for food sources. It's just somehow throughout evolution and time, we develop a mechanism over time to exploit these animals at a much more smarter and faster pace. And that's just the way how it came to be. I'm not so certain that why we should stop it in the first place, under the exception of the environment in which we grew up in. That doesn't seem right to us in a way. But I can understand where you're coming from an emotional standpoint, but
but not. I mean,
logically,
not even from just an just an emotional. I mean, we don't need it for any sort of biological health either. In fact, we've only drunk dairy for the past 7,000 years of our existence. So therefore, it's not something that we could say that is we have done since the dawn of time, because we haven't. It's just something that somehow, somewhere along the lines, we've done and we've continued to do. But we have no biological necessity in any way for dairy. Dairy milk is, in the same way mother's milk is for humans, cow's milk is for baby cows, and that is a fact.
Wait, didn't we evolve over time to like accept the dairy from the cow? Like some people are lactose intolerant and some people are.
Yeah,
That
that is true. I mean, like
in
in a lot of Asian countries and stuff, you'll find that more people are lactose intolerant because they generally don't drink milk as much. But yeah, in like Western society, because we've drunk milk now for a long time, we have kind of built a tolerance. But you can still obviously see the effects because if, milk still contains hormones and stuff. It can cause stuff like acne, and obviously it still has cholesterol and everything that builds up inside us, and still can lead to things like heart disease, diabetes. So the negative effects are still there, but we just don't have the effects of lactose intolerance as much. Obviously, people still are, but in Western society, not as much as in countries which haven't drunk milk for a long time.
Well, I think that's more than enough proof, isn't it? Because the fact that we have evolved over time, just because we need milk for those who prefer to have milk and who are not lactose intolerant can go ahead and opt out for that option, where those who don't have who are lactose intolerant,
just because we can we can do something doesn't mean we should. We can do a lot of things. I could go around punching children. Doesn't mean I should.
I heard that one before.
Yeah, totally. You see, so I mean, I don't think that we should be exploiting the female cow's reproductive system, bolt gunning her children in the head, and making her go through repeated pregnancies for a product that we do not need in any way for our health. We could eliminate dairy and it wouldn't make any difference at all. And I'm still saying, and I'm still saying that we got meat at this point. We haven't moved on to meat yet. I'm just talking dairy.
I know. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm kind of thrown off by this dairy stuff. I don't know. I thought we were gonna go right into the meat stuff. But,
yeah, I'm taking different angles. Throwing some curveballs.
Yeah, I see that. Got me silent for a while there. It's pretty good, I like that.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
what about cheese?
Well, I mean,
where did that come from, right?
Oh yeah, well, cheese is just moldy milk, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what about the food variety? You vegans like to talk about how like there are tons of variety of stuff on the vegan side.
Oh yeah.
Erasing this dairy wouldn't it be against this principle?
Well, this is the thing. Well, we've got dairy alternatives. We've got vegan cheese and we've got vegan milks and we've got vegan yogurts. So if we've got alternatives already, then why do we need to use dairy?
Mm-hmm. Good point. Dairy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was thinking about. I'm still stuck on the lactose intolerance, and those who actually can drink milk.
I mean, it's just we built a tolerance to it, but then
We
I'm guessing if you if you eat like I don't know, it's like in the same way we built tolerances to some diseases over the years. Doesn't mean that we should start injecting ourselves with diseases now because we're a little bit more intolerant to them. You know what I mean?
But I don't think that's a good comparison, though. I mean,
no, it's
we're
probably
building
a terrible comparison.
defenses.
Yeah. It's probably a terrible comparison. I'll even admit that myself. So don't worry about that.
Because like the viruses and stuff and the bacteria, that's bad for us. As for the milk, those who actually grew up and evolved to it can consume it for their benefit.
Yeah.
But those who are lactose intolerant cannot.
Because don't you think it's weird? Don't you think it's weird that like I mean, how old are you, Daddy? If you don't want to say, you can give a ballpark figure if you want.
I'll abstain from answering that question.
But you can say like okay, let's just say I don't know. I can't tell because your voice is deep. Let's just say you're mid-20s, for example. I don't know. Okay. Do you think that at mid-20s you should still be breastfeeding? Because that's basically what you're doing.
Wait, hold on, what?
That's what it is.
We don't need mid-20s.
We don't need our mother's milk past a few years of our life. So why on earth are we drinking the milk of another species in our 20s and 30s? Why are we still breastfeeding?
Well, liquid is a form of necessity. Without that, we're dehydrated to death. Milk is a form of liquid.
We've got plenty of liquid. We're not short of liquid. We don't need we don't necessarily need another choice of liquid. We only need water. Let's be fair.
The water the cow has to drink has to be converted into milk, which is ineffective. So you actually lose with liquid if you want to drink the milk, instead of just drinking the water that the cow has to drink.
True. Yeah, if you just drank the water the cow drank, you'd have more water.
Sorry, I just jumped in.
No, it's fine, man. You got bits to say. Hop in.
It's okay.
Open forum as always. I mean, here's another question. Why you're thinking about that as well, and we can kind of go into a little bit of name the trait here. I mean, do you think that if we did what we did to a female cow to a human female, that you would find that okay? So if we forcibly impregnated a woman, stole her child, milked her,
devoid of all costs, devoid of all context, but only strictly that, my personal morals comes into play. Okay, not a group moral, but my personal morals.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I want to know about your morals. I don't care about group morals. I want to know about yours.
Yeah. I would say, that's fucked up.
Yeah. So can you differentiate the cow and the woman to say why it's okay to do it to the female cow, but it's not okay to do it to the human woman?
Why is it okay to do it to a cow? Oh no, here we go. Oh no, Chris, why?
Welcome to Name the Trait. You wanted this, Daddy. You wanted it, and I'm giving it to you.
No,
I'm going in.
You said it to dairy, and that I don't know. I was a little bit befuddled by that.
Good.
Now
this is what I want. I'm gonna melt your brain.
The trait stuff. Oh yeah, pun intended.
So yeah, come on. Go on. What's your justification? What's the differences between the human female and the cow female that justify it? That if we applied it to the human female would mean that it would be okay to do it to them. What's that difference?
It's because we're doing it to a human instead of
okay. So you're saying species?
species of animals.
Are you saying it? You're saying because it's a different species? Is that what you're saying?
Because I built more. I was grown. Whoa, hold on.
So are you saying because she is a human and it is an animal? Is that what you're saying?
I need to like put on the context of my stepping stone first.
Okay.
So I grew up in an environment where I actually do treasure humans more than other species of animals.
Yeah, that's fine.
That is a factor that has a lot of biases in here.
Yeah, fine with that.
Yeah, so do you.
Bias.
So do you guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
But there's a clear distinction that every individual will have a level of biases, and in a scale, when it comes to these type of situations being presented, like a hypothetical you presented here, you know, and my scale is not, or my opinion or my biases are not at the same level as yours.
It doesn't need to be. You can be biased, but bias is never a justification. You wouldn't accept to be, you know, me and you are in a room and someone wants to kill you because they're biased to me. Actually, be like, hold on a minute, we're both human.
Well, yeah.
So bias ain't a justification. I mean, you can be biased. That's fine. Humans are generally biased. Humans.
Yeah,
I accept that.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like, killing the cow is, I wouldn't put that on the equivalent scale of killing a human.
Oh, it wouldn't be as equivalent. I mean, we know that the human is more intelligent and, you know, has more, maybe a range of emotions, and there are differences between them. But which of those differences could we, you know, how many of these differences do we have to strip away, or, you know, or give to the human female to justify it in both contexts?
I think why do you how to put this? Why do you want the human to be in that position in the first place?
Oh no, we don't want the human in that position in the first place. We don't want the cow in that position in the first place either. But the cow is in that position.
Okay, so the cow.
Yeah. So obviously it's a hypothetical, remember. So everything else right. Equal. You know, we've just got to differentiate that cow and that human female to say why it's okay to do it to the cow and why it's not okay to do it to the human female. That's what we've got to. That's basically what we've got to, you know, to name. We've got to say why that is.
It's because we don't. Some people aren't as intolerant towards the cow as they are more. Well, intolerant towards the human as they're more tolerant towards the cow. Seeing the cow die as another species.
We think tolerance is that an argument?
Conforming to the environment.
Is tolerance really an argument? You're saying because we're more tolerant than
well, when I say tolerant, I mean like the environment where they grew up in. Like, for instance, I think I mentioned this before, where if, like, not today's standard, but like if you go all the way back to where like there's no guns, just swords and shields, you know, and they have domesticated animals, they wouldn't mind seeing in that environment. They see humans being beheaded or humans being stabbed by swords and shields. Well, you can stab with shields, by the way. But yeah, it was like pretty mundane and normal in that day, I would assume. So if they were to get meat, they would actually go ahead and obviously kill the animal with actual swords and behead them. So there's a level of environment where you grew up in, and that level of tolerance is what I meant is clinging onto. So coming back to
isn't that just kind of appealing to tradition?
We still don't have. No, it's not tradition.
Or maybe not tradition, but kind of appealing to, I don't know, just appealing to what you were brought up with. Like, that's, you know, like if I was brought up to run around murdering people, would that be okay now?
Chris, I got it now. So
okay,
with that, what I wanted to get through was um, with that level environment that we grew up in that day, they wouldn't have any problem with it. But in this present time, we grew up with this idea that the violence is bad because we do have better ways of solving things. What I would assume better way of solving things than the past, and we do have weapons that do take out a life form within a fraction of a second, and with this in mind, we can take somebody's life in an instant without even conforming into like the thought process of how much pain can this person feel. So, and not to mention the political movement and all of that stuff that this all encompasses back to the environment kind of stuff, that we grew up in the place where we don't want violence, and you can see a lot of these history where a lot of people protest wars, protests, all that ugly nature that conforms to violence, hitting people randomly on the street. We are slowly and maturely moving towards that direction. So what I want to piece together here is that it's not about my level of biases that is trying to justify the cow. It's you too, that your level of biases in which the environment you grew up in, a lot more intolerance toward violence and a lot more pathway towards the biases of nonviolence, that you wouldn't want to see this cow to be in this position. That's why you're questioning this kind of action. So I think there's two headbutting biases that should be tackled in this level instead of trying to present it in this hypothetical. So we do have two biases going on here. We both grew up in this environment, we're subjects to the level of reality that we're in.
Yeah, but bias doesn't justify it. Like, because in the end, I'm not asking you to pick between them.
Why?
I'm not asking you to pick between doing it to the woman or the cow. Both of them are about to get it done to them, and we're just trying to say why it shouldn't happen to one. And if we just say, oh well, we've got a bias towards this one, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't. If we said, oh well, we've got a bias towards the cow, you wouldn't accept it. So we can't use bias and the environment as a justification.
It's a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah.
I can say, do you have the biases towards the cow?
No, well, I know, because realistically, if I had to pick between, say, a human and a cow dying, I would probably pick the cow because I'm a human and I've got a bias towards a human. And
what?
Yeah. We're not, if you think that all vegans are just all biased towards animals, that's not the case, because there is a hierarchy of sentience. Humans are more intelligent. We are more sentient. We are more feeling.
Right.
We are everything else. And animals slowly go down the scale. And the same as some humans as well, like disabled people, for example. They may be less capable as us or less intelligent than us. But what we do realise is it doesn't matter how, where they are on the scale, they still have a basic right to life. They still do not need to be exploited. We don't need to kill them just because they're below us on the sentience scale or the intelligence scale. So we can still value them, but it doesn't mean we have to have a bias towards them. You get what I'm saying?
But I'm saying that maybe you have a level of biases towards the idea of non-violence because you don't want to see anybody in that position. Where your tolerance level is for both sides.
Well, I mean, who hasn't got a bias towards non? I mean, are you saying you've got a bias towards violence?
No. Come on, Chris. Let's not do that.
No, but that's what you say. You're saying we've got a bias towards non-violence. I'm like, well, surely you must have that as well.
I get where you're at. But no, let's not do that. Because I say that you have a bias towards non-violence, therefore I must accept the other one. No.
That's what I mean. I don't think you hold that position. Obviously, I think you're the same as us. You also don't want violence. We all don't want violence.
I would say I don't want violence unless it's necessary.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to kill somebody if someone is, really after you and want to kill you.
Yeah. Self-defense is.
Yeah, I think vegans would agree with that.
But going back to this cow and this woman, where is there is no self-defense here or anything. It's just exploitation.
Well, Chris, I think the hypothetical you presented is also no real intrinsic goal.
Oh, of course it is. The goal is to differentiate the animal from the human, to explain why it's okay to do it to one but not to the other. Because if you can't name that difference between them, you just hold a double standard. It's just hypocritical to do that. You can't, treat one thing in one way and then reject it with someone else. I mean, you can't accept something in one context and reject it in another. That's a double standard.
I wanted to say that it doesn't have an intrinsic goal in a sense that we're in this devoided hypothetical where you're seeing face to face that you have to kill a cow, or you got to kill a human, and that's basically it. Like, obviously, the context of why we exploit these animals is because of food. Okay, that is one goal in which we go about it.
Yeah,
it's not about how
if we did it to the woman,
hypothetical.
Think about it this way, okay? Because you talk about a lot about food options, okay? If we did it to the woman, we could also get food. We could also take her breast milk and make her breast milk into cheese. The same thing would come of it.
I agree.
But would that now justify doing it to the woman now that we're getting food from her? Because if not, then you can't use food as a justification.
Okay, Chris, I think you feel right into my trap. So basically, at that level, at that point, it entirely depends on an individual.
In what respect? What do you mean?
You can ask me.
What you mean? Individual as in each of us, or as in the woman?
Yeah, in each of us, in which we can go about, depending on our environment in which we grew up in and how we raised, and based on our biases.
So you, as an individual.
Because what I'm saying is, Chris, I do accept that both can be food, but at that point, it entirely is based on individuals' biases. Me personally, I prefer not the human to be food, but the cow.
Yeah, but if someone turned around and say, well, yeah, I've got a bias towards the cow, so I'm, and you were that woman in that position, you wouldn't accept that as a valid thing to say. Oh, yeah, it's just about. Chris, they got a bias is not a justification for anything.
Chris,
it's an excuse, but it's not a bias. Come on, I mean, it's not a justification. You can't use bias as a justification.
Right, but I don't think you can then all of a sudden switch me with the female now, and that you got to kill me.
Why can I not swap you for the female human?
Because now the situation entirely is different. It's not just two people over there that I'm devoid from, like a third person perspective. I'm now in the first person.
Okay, well let's move it. Let's move it to that, because in the end, what we're fighting for here is the individual. We're fighting for for that individual cow and what that cow has to go through. So why not let's put you in that position. Let's make you the female that we're going to exploit in the same way of the cow. And you can tell us why we can't do it to you, but we can do it to the cow. We can put you in that situation, because then you see what we mean? 'Cause we're fighting for the rights of those individual animals. I'm standing up for that cow, and to say, because I can already say it's bad for the woman. I'm already saying it shouldn't happen to the woman. All I'm doing is I'm saying it shouldn't happen to the cow as well.
But we already agree that hypothetical. Well, yeah, according to like for food processing, right? That's the intrinsic goal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it's for food, and like we can get food from both of them, both options provide food.
So I think the one that I nailed down is that both can be utilized for food, but it would actually depend on the individual's biases.
Yeah, but bias isn't a justification.
It is.
It isn't.
At this point, it is, because I already agree that both can be utilized for food. At that point, it's as arbitrary as pick which one. Which one is it?
If bias is a justification, I'm picking between whether I want to get my food from the cow or you as the human female. I'm going to be biased to the cow. Do you now accept that you're going to get exploited because I've chosen to free the cow because of bias?
Yes.
No, you would not. Dude, that's just dishonest.
Yes, I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
Chris,
You
no,
would go,
that's not dishonest
fair
at all.
enough. You'll be like, what the hell?
I
There's
got
no...
you, Chris.
No, you would not. Don't even try that. You would. There's no way you would accept that. You'll be like, what the fuck? This shouldn't happen to either of us.
No, Chris, I say yes in the sense that, okay, well, sure, you can go ahead and try to kill me for food for the sake of, not wanting to kill the cow because you have a bias for a cow. But what you're not understanding here is that you're flipping between like a dimension of individual morality. My morals is that I'm actually more sympathetic towards the human, and I build more my morals around the human.
So my morals,
and you build yours around the cow.
So my morals.
You prefer to hunt humans. I can't do anything about it. I say, sure, I will be your food, but just letting you know, I will also defend myself because due to my personal moral, not group morals, my personal morals that I wouldn't want to.
So if you're defending yourself, you're not accepting it.
What?
If you're fighting against something, that isn't acceptance.
No, that's just called. You see, now you're not, Chris. You're not understanding now.
Let me give you a quick example, okay?
I'm different. Your biases are different because you're biased toward the cow. You want to kill a human.
Okay, well, this is the thing.
So
okay,
my bias is for a human. You want to kill. There's two different groups. They don't have to be consistent with each other. And the fact that these two biases come down and clash with each other, okay? What are you going to do? You're going to stand there and just accept the other person's bias?
If bias,
you're going to sit there and you're going to defend yourself.
If bias is your justification, okay, I can turn around and say, okay, well, I am biased against, I'm biased towards the animals. Therefore, you have to accept that I can now go round and murder humans for food. Because bias, in your eyes, is an acceptable excuse. Do you accept the fact that now I can go around and kill humans for food? Is that okay?
Okay, so my personal belief, not yours, since you're the murderer, in that case, you that's what you think with your morals you should go about do it. I say you can go ahead and think whatever the perception of reality you think that you ought to do. But if you come around and start infringing on the things that I believe in, I will stand up for it and defend it. So if you were to come around the corner and trying to sneak a knife, right under my gut, be prepared. I'm going to have some kind of defensive mechanism coming after you. I just can't willy-nilly sit there and accept that.
Exactly, because you would reject it. You would reject your own argument.
Yeah, because the thing. No, Chris, I didn't. I'm actually rejecting the murderer's morals. I'm actually keeping my own morals. This is what Friend is trying to prove in this video.
Okay, all right. If that's the thing, then
see that you're rejecting the ISIS morals is not contingent or not consistent with Friend's moral, and that is exactly what I'm trying to prove here. And this goes in
hang on. So why are your morals right? Why are they right? What's the justification for your morals?
Well, I don't think they're right. I just think that they are intrinsic to what I believe in based on my environment.
Yeah, well, we can easily do this because
you don't think the morals that you hold to are right.
I don't think it's right. Are you meaning right in where everybody has to follow it?
No, I think. Do you personally think that the morals that you have are right, are correct?
I don't think right is the right word. Where you think that somehow somebody has to follow this, so you got to word it a different way.
Presumably, you need to follow your own morals, correct?
I believe in my own morals. Action is a different word. I mean, action is a different.
So why do you believe in your morals then? The thing I'm getting here is that the reasoning that Friend deploys leads to a circular argument, because what he says, why are my axioms better than any other set of axioms? Well, it's because they're my axioms. And if I change my axioms, then those two are better than everybody's axioms because, again, they're my axioms.
You see, I don't think you got it right. That's just a terrible way to go about it.
I think I did.
I don't think that it's because Friend thinks his morals are better and they're right. I don't think he even says that in his video. I think he says, this is my morals, Okay.
Well,
you may
why do
think
you
it's
have your
wrong,
morals as
right?
opposed to
It's
ISIS
training.
morals if you don't think those morals are right? Why do you choose your morals as opposed to ISIS morals? Is it just a wash? Is it just, well, I could have been an ISIS guy, but I choose not to be for some magical reason. I don't know why.
I told you, I said it's based on the environment which you grew up in, and you grew up in with these kind of experiences. You slowly implement these morals as you grow up. That could be one of the equation and how you grew up, how to grow and build your moral foundation.
I'm actually not going to go too much into this because I've kind of promised myself I'm not going to go too much into the logic of stuff. Can you give a simple answer? Do you think it's okay to to inseminate a female cow by putting a fist in its ass and another one in its vagina, as if wanked off a bull just beforehand as well to put the semen in, to then let it give birth, steal away its baby, bolt gun its baby in the head, steal its milk, repeat 5 or 6 times, then send them to a slaughterhouse? By your morals, is that okay? Yes or no?
Chris,
the fact you can't answer yes or no should make you think maybe you don't have a straight answer for this. Because if it was that obvious, if your morals were so set, you would just say, well, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But you're thinking about it. You've got Dahdiy, as much as people don't like you, you've got
he doesn't employ ISIS morals is because he has a different background.
No, wait.
That's the only reason.
The thing is with Dahdiy, right? The thing is with Dahdiy has a heart in there. He does. He does care, because if he didn't care, he would just come out and do a destiny on us and just be like, yeah, it's fine, do what the hell you want with them. So you clearly care in some point for animals. There is no, you can't say that you have no empathy towards animals in any way. Like, surely you've seen a dog or a cat, or even seen a cow in a field and wanted to just go and, give it a little stroke on the head, or stroked a bunny or something. Like, everyone has. Would you say that's fair? Would you say you've done that?
I was watching this video. Hold on, Chris. Can we watch a video together? I just watched this video last night. I think it explains a lot about morals, tribal, in-group and out-group, and how humans go about and evolve over time. Except the things they go about.
I don't know how I would set that up with the new OBS setup I've done. That's the only thing. It wouldn't appear to everyone. We'd have to watch. We can do that another time. I'm happy to do it another time if you kind of bear with me and let me work that out. We can do that on another stream for sure. But I'm not entirely sure how to do that right now. But okay. So
I don't really want others to watch it. I just want you to watch it, man.
Oh yeah, I can watch it. That's fine. But let's go on to some other things, okay? So because I said I don't want to go into the logic. I want to talk to you about veganism, okay? So, there are other things that go on in the industry, for example. Like, do you know what happens to baby male chicks in the egg industry? Are you familiar with what happens there?
I'm pretty virgin to this stuff, so you gotta let me know.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, a lot of people don't know these things. So, basically, in the egg industry, obviously, the only chickens that can lay eggs are females. So the males are basically byproducts. They're also not the same breed they're not the same breed as the meat chickens either. So there's literally no use for them. So at 1 day old, at the hatcheries, they're put on a conveyor belt. They're sexed into male and female. The males are either put into a gas chamber or they're dropped into a mechanical rotating blade. At 1 day old. It's called instantaneous mechanical destruction. It's actually certified by the Humane Slaughter Association. Wow. What is your opinion on the mass grinding of millions of male chicks for eggs at 1 day old? Do you think that is okay to do? I don't think you do.
Are they utilizing? Wait, hold on. Are they utilizing the baby chicks that the mass instantaneous stuff, and they kill it with that process? Are they doing it and then consuming the meat afterwards?
No. I mean, some of it might go on to be like reptile food or stuff, but generally it's because they're a waste product.
Right.
Yeah, that is not needed. It's not financially viable to bring up all the male chickens.
Why is
It's just not cost effective. If you think 50% of all the chickens that are born are male, and if they were going to bring those chickens up, considering they're not the same breed as the meat ones, it's just extra expense. And obviously, if you're just an egg farmer, there's no point. It's just they're just waste.
That's a lot of food wasted.
There's a lot of life wasted.
I think we figured it out. You think they're lives. I think they're food.
Well, they are like you're saying they're not alive. You're saying they're not. You're saying they're not sentient beings that are getting minced in a rotating blade.
Chris,
I'm only telling you what happened.
Taking a poke, but
I'm going to tell you some other stuff as well.
Right.
I'm going to tell you some more. Okay. So the chickens that you eat, how old do you think they are when they go to slaughter? How old do you think? What's the average lifespan of a meat chicken? Yeah,
I don't know. I actually.
How long do they live for a meat chicken?
You said the chicken that I guess buying drumstick is part of the process, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Have a guess.
I don't know what.
So an average chicken, may live? This could be wrong, but maybe about 15 years, say. So how long does a meat chicken live?
Considering all the process and the exploitation and the confinements and the environments, pollution, I'd say maybe a week.
A week. You're actually not far off. 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, 6
to 8 times more than a week.
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks is the average lifespan of a bird in the meat industry. And and then when people think of things like free range and organic and all this kind of stuff, even if they lived outside, they live outside for 8 weeks. That's hardly a life that we should be giving. Do you know what the most humane way to kill a pig is? What is considered the most humane method?
Aren't you vegans don't like the word humane killing?
No, because it doesn't exist exactly. But what they class, I'm putting the humane in air quotes right now. You can't see me doing it, but I'm doing it.
Right. I guess when people say humane killing, it's proposing a method without eliminating the unnecessary suffering. It's just go straight to it, like boom, done.
It's all terms to make people feel better. That's all it is. But yeah, how do you think pigs are generally killed?
How do I think pigs are generally killed? I think with knives. I actually saw this on the stream where you guys were showing it to me.
Yeah, I think
the pigs get cut on the throat.
Yeah,
the pigs get cut on the throat and then they get hanged.
The most common way is to be shoved in crates and lowered into dense CO2 into a gas chamber, and basically where it burns them from the inside until they die, and then they get their throat slit.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So this is why we're against this stuff, because this stuff is brutal. Like, we're not talking like the idyllic situations that people think of, these nice animals kind of floating around in fields and then suddenly they just go to sleep. It's not how it works. 99% of the world's meat is coming from factory farms. I've been to a pig factory farm. It is disgusting. I've been to slaughterhouses. I've been to a pig slaughterhouse. I've been to a cow slaughterhouse. I've been to a chicken slaughterhouse. Happy to send you footage of me outside showing you all the animals going in. This is what I do. This is part of what I do for my life.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that if you were there, like, as much as we all like meat, like no one became vegan because they don't like the taste of meat. I loved meat. I was eating like 3 double cheeseburgers the day before I went vegetarian. Like, it's not about it's not about the taste. It's about the fact that these are animals that are getting exploited, and realistically they're no different to our cats and our dogs, and realistically they're not really much different to us. They're sentient, they feel, they're aware of what's happening, and I can't see a positive coming from this when we do have other foods that we can eat that aren't causing as much damage. Now, one thing I will do, just to get rid of the argument straight away, is obviously I do realise in crop farming obviously we do kill some animals. You know, we get kill insects with pesticides, or there might be, you know, mice or other things running around in the fields. That happens.
Correct.
But what we should realize is it's not vegans that are currently crop farming. It's still non-vegans. There are advancements such as vertical farming, which are obviously going to grow bigger yields in a smaller space with no pesticides, and they're going to almost eliminate those deaths. There's also things like veganic farming, and there's other things we can do as well. When vegans actually get to the point where we can take over the crop farming, we can then eliminate those deaths as well. No one else is going to be looking out for the rights of insects but the vegans. So, you know, when people kind of bring that up, it's something that at the moment is not possible and practicable because we're not in that situation to have control over that industry. So that covers the ethics. Now, I'm not just going to stop at ethics because I'm going to talk about the environment as well. Do you realize how much impact animal agriculture has on the environment and on everything around us? I mean, have you ever looked into that?
No, I don't.
So, for example, sorry, we're going to say something then. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, I was about to say, I don't want to say it. Go ahead.
Do you want to come back to it? Shall I?
Well, I just want to say that, like, before you went on the other parts of the stuff, I saw the part where I saw the video where you were actually outside on the I think it was a meat factory or some shit.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
they were sending in the pigs, and I was like, dude, and I saw you crying. You know, you're tearing up.
Yeah,
and
man.
I was tearing up too with you. You know, and I was like, damn, like Chris is literally like a brother from another cousin. You know, and I thought like this is some serious stuff from you, and I could feel from you and the way you try to talk to me. You know, this is I like this more than like the other people online. You know,
Yeah.
and that's I don't know. You have a lot of passion in you without having to resort to wanting to belittle others or go about like trying to say them some other words that
of course. I mean, in the end, I don't think anyone.
It's cool, man.
Thank you. I do really appreciate that, and I just want to kind of make it clear that I don't think that anybody that eats animals is a bad person. I don't. I just think that they're just a products of society, like everybody else. It's normalized now. We all do it. We just never stop to question why we do it. You know, I ate meat for 20 years. I can't turn around to people and say you're horrible because you ate meat, because I ate it for years. You know, like I did exactly the same. Like I just think people are just disconnected now. They don't see the product on their plate as the animal that became that. They don't know who their meat was. And that's why I do those videos. I want to introduce people to the beings that become these products, and just to kind of say, look, this pig in this truck is about to go in a gas chamber when you could just go to the shop and just buy something that tastes the same. Like, do we really want to be doing that to that animal? Like, is it really necessary to do it to that animal? Like, and I think we've come to a crossroads where technology and food technology especially has brought us to a point where we don't need to do that anymore. And I think if we don't need to do something, then we shouldn't. It's almost like a good example is like, just say we were all vampires, for example, and we were running around and we had to kill people to get blood. If someone came up with a viable option where we could have a blood substitute, I think it would be the ethical thing for us to all start taking the blood substitute and stop going around killing.
Have you guys watched True Blood?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's essentially the plot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's basically an analogy for veganism, because the vampires, they develop together with the Japanese, I think, they developed the synthetic blood, which it works fine in terms of health, but it tastes pretty crappy. And so there's this, I guess, there's different camps in the different vampire camps. Those who want to still hunt humans, and those who want to mainstream, as they call it.
Yeah, no, it's a good show.
Yeah, I just think it's important to say that when we say that veganism is better, what we mean by that is to say that I'm myself, the version of me who is a vegan is better than the version of me who is not a vegan, all else being equal. So what we're saying is that you, the version of you who were a vegan, who would be a vegan, is a better version of you. I'm not saying that I'm better than you or you are better than me. That's a totally different.
That's a really good way to put it, actually. That's really, really good. Oh, and Tim, thank you so much for that, man. Tim just gave me $15 in the super chat. Thank you, man.
Oh, nice.
That's amazing. I think someone else super chatted me as well. Let me just scroll back because I've been so getting in the chat.
And I also want to say I'm a little bit sorry because I know that I can get passionate at times and sound aggressive. I don't mean to.
No, I like it. I think it's it's really great for the audience.
Thanks, Vohan. Sorry, I just wanted to thank the people who gave me the super chats. That's really, really nice of them. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Just to let you know, I'm a very nice guy, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean, if you get mean at me,
the thing is, I think you are. Which is why
I like to take it like 3 chances.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I've kind of wanted to give you a chance where other people haven't, because like I kind of I don't know. I think some people just get frustrated because they go round and round and stuff. And the thing is, it's really easy to do when you just stick on the arguments of logic because you just get to one question, and if someone won't answer that one question, it just becomes a cross. It just becomes a stop, and it just goes.
It also becomes like a game almost. You want to win the game.
Exactly.
You want to win the logic
it just goes
game.
round and round and round. And there's sometimes, and this is exactly what we were discussing last night in the stream. Maybe sometimes it's better not to just concentrate on logic and just go in with, let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about veganism. Let's explain why.
Let's just be human.
Yeah, exactly. Let me explain why I give a shit, why I think you should give a shit, why I think the world should give a shit. And then when you've got, because if you think about it, and I'm sure you'll admit this anyway, you've probably learnt more about veganism in this small time we've spoken than you have in all the other chats, because you didn't know anything about what happened to the chicks or the dairy cows or and that's a more positive thing for you to learn rather than you just trying to question the logic of name the trait.
Yeah,
because you actually know.
I promise you, most vegans did not need the name the trait to go vegan.
Yeah,
that was not the reason why they went vegan.
Yeah,
but I don't think most people I wasn't vegan, but then I saw name the trait and okay.
Yeah.
That's not.
But I totally appreciate the fact, Dahdiy, that you've you've stuck with it and that you've been willing to listen and learn, and I think that's great. It shows that you're obviously very open-minded, and that's great. That's more than a lot. To be honest, it's more than most people will do. And most people won't even have a conversation with us. So the fact you've done this is a great step. So thank you for that. I do thank you for that.
Isn't Friended is willing to do this?
What's that? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Isn't Friended wanting to do this?
Yeah, he's going to speak to us maybe on Saturday. I think Saturday. So yeah, I'll let you know when it is. I don't think we've got a time set yet, but when it has.
Could I try something?
Yeah, of course, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. There's this hypothetical I've been thinking about. It's not too abstract. It's quite simple. So imagine you have the choice of creating one of 2 steaks, A and B. And the difference between those is that option A involves the suffering and death of a cow, so the typical standard procedure. But option B involves no suffering and death of a cow. It's made in a lab. And so apart from their history, the steaks are exactly identical. Which steak would you create in that instance? So again,
I blanked out.
Do you need to explain it again? Do you want him to explain it again?
I blanked out.
Okay.
Explain again.
Yeah, explain
again. Okay. So imagine you have the option of creating a steak. And there are 2 options, right. A and B. If you choose option A, it will be a typical steak. It will come from a cow that suffered and died, standard procedure in factory farming. Or if you choose B, it will be made in a lab. So it's a lab-made meat. So apart from their history, it will be no difference. The taste will be entirely the same. Everything will be the macro and micronutrients. They will all be the same. The only difference is their history. Which steak would you prefer to be created? To have created?
Wait. What is A? I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah, go.
So A is what?
So yeah,
A
yeah. Oh, sorry. You carry on, Michael. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
A is made from a cow that suffered and died. So there was suffering and death involved in that steak.
Died. Make A. So A is made from a cow that suffered and died and made into a steak.
Yes.
Okay.
And steak. The option B is it's an identical piece of steak, but it's made in a lab. So no cow suffered, no cow died, nothing. It's made in a lab. But apart from that, they are identical.
Yeah. So same taste, same size, same look, same smell, same texture. Everything else is equal.
Oh. I was like, I thought you were going on something. I was like, it's this simple.
It's simpler than what you think.
Okay, so so made from a cow suffered and died into steak, identical piece of steak, but didn't die, suffer, made from a lab. Okay, so is it really just this choice and no other context?
No,
Like
no,
just
That's the choice.
divided into
this is all
That's
you
the
need.
choice.
this is all I need.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
just imagine
Well,
that was your
what do
choice. You go into a restaurant, they say you can have a steak here. It's made from a cow that come from factory farms and has died and suffered for it, or you can have this bit of meat which we made in a lab. It's exactly the same, tastes the same, texture the same, everything's the same.
This is really hard.
Think about why is this hard?
Why is it hard? I mean,
Yeah.
Because like
if you pick,
I still view them as food.
What's that?
I still view them as food, and I still view them as food.
Yeah, you do. You do view them as food, but there is
And-
different factors with each
Yeah.
food. One of them has involved death. The other one
Right.
has not. So you're basically picking whether
Right.
you want to pick the one with death or you want to pick the one that didn't kill anything. Go on.
I didn't think this part would be difficult.
Yeah,
I was
and-
going to move on to
And
a
Dahdiy,
different
like,
part.
you got to think about it, right? We're not here, right? Think about it this way, right? Because I just really want to put your mind at ease with all this kind of stuff. Okay, it doesn't no one's going to go mental or anything if you agree with us with something. It's like it's not an issue to do that. Like
I don't
if
know.
anything, I'll have more respect for you if you at least go, well, yeah, of course I would pick the one where something wasn't killed. Everybody would pick the one where something wasn't killed.
I mean,
So,
the implication is
don't
if you
think
pick-
of this as a competition, right? There's no
Yeah.
winners, there's no losers in this whatsoever. Okay, like this is
the
just
thing,
us
the thing
having
is,
a chat.
if you pick the actually
You're
the
really
meat
selling this to me.
produced from the cow, you're literally saying that you prefer suffering and death over no suffering and death, even when they're identical, the outcomes. So the steaks are totally identical.
Yeah.
They're identical in taste, in every way, except for their history. That's the only difference.
Yeah,
So if you choose option A, then you're preferring to have a cow suffering and dying for your taste pleasure. Over, you know what I mean?
Right.
says, would you pick
It's-
death over no death? That's the kind of real basics of it.
Well, the thing is that I also view them both as food.
They are
but
both food, yeah, of course.
One requires death, one requires no death. But according to my idea of food is that it wouldn't really matter much as long as they're food per se. But you want me
But
to
then-
choose
but then in
either
that
one,
context-
it's more like
But then in that context, you would have to put a human in that place as well and say, okay, well, you can pick from the human or the cow, and it won't matter because they both
going
give
back to
food.
that.
You see where we're going there? If,
Yeah,
if
they're both
anything
food,
is food,
but
then
then-
it doesn't matter what it is. And you have to take
this is
that
going
to the
back to the
extreme.
biases argument again.
So what did you say then?
This is going back to the biases argument again.
Yeah, it kind of
Sure,
is.
sure. My bias is that no suffering is better than a lot of suffering, all else being equal. Is that something you wouldn't agree with? So imagine, okay,
I would align myself with more of a philosophical manner of it depends on who is suffering
Okay,
and the context in which
the
they go
cow is
about and
suffering.
receive the suffering.
There's a cow. That's who's suffering. So
Right,
it's
the cow is suffering.
yeah. So it's do you want a cow to suffer, or do you want to take the option where you'll get the same thing and the cow doesn't suffer? You have that choice right
What if
now.
we reduce the suffering?
What's that?
What if I introduce C? What if I introduce C? You know, in this scenario
We don't
where
need to.
No.
We don't need
this
to.
cow actually
We don't need
didn't.
C.
We don't need
We
to.
don't need C.
Daddy, think
Damn
about this.
it.
Right, this is really, really simple, and I know that I almost feel like, and I don't think you're doing this deliberately, but I think your brain is really trying hard not to want to agree with us on something here, right? Because like,
I can tell you that I have friends who eat meat, and they all agree that they would choose option B.
yeah, this is
Every single one of them.
it's literally you can have two of the same things. One of them involves something dying, the other one doesn't. Surely you pick the one where nothing died, because why would you ever pick the one where something dies? What advantage? How would that make anything better? How would that increase well-being? How would that do anything? It wouldn't, would it?
But isn't that the politically correct thing to say? I mean, we still view them both as food.
Yeah,
I still view them both as food. The thing that I would be true to myself is that I wouldn't really mind either one as long as they're food, in a sense.
So you wouldn't really care about let's say if there's a lot of torture within factory farming, would you care about that? If they torture the pigs and the cows intentionally just for fun?
Well, hold on. Let's not even hypothetical that. Let's real life that. Pigs in factory farms get castrated with no anaesthetic, get their teeth clipped, get their tails cut off. Female pigs are kept in gestation crates for up to something like 8 weeks, where they can't even turn around, and all they can basically do is stand up and sit down and watch their babies die next to them. That is the real situation. That's not even hypothetical. That is what happens in factory farms. So if you've got the choice now of we'll move it from the steak to sausages. You've got the pigs I've just told you about, the factory farm pigs, or you can pick a sausage from made in a lab where none of that happened. Which one you choosing? Come on, Daddy. You can do this. You can do. I've got faith in you here.
Come on, man.
Just say B. Be the good person I know you are.
B, come on, B, man. Just say B.
I know you're a good person in there, Daddy. I know you've got a heart. I know that if I took you to one of these places, you watched my video. You saw me have almost emotion, and you felt the emotion that I felt. If I took you there, you would instantly go.
Well, I actually felt like on another human species that I actually really care about, and I connected with you the way how you connected with those species, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And that tear just flushed through, kind of like that.
Okay, think about it in a different way then. Okay, if you really can't make that decision because you can't make it with humans, think about this, right? There's millions of people in the world here that are devastated by what's happening to animals. Absolutely devastated. And I'm one of those people. You can make a choice to support the thing that will really devastate me, the fact that's happening, as a human being. So
can I just interject something?
Yeah, of course.
I do think that the vast majority of people would disagree with you here. Meat eaters and vegans alike would say that's fucked up, basically. To not know whether you would choose a lab-made steak or sausage over something that's produced with suffering, when there's no difference, there's nothing for you to gain. I do think that most people would think that's there's something wrong with that. I don't think that's a vegan thing. I think actually most meat eaters would agree that the vast majority of meat eaters would pick option B.
Yeah, and like I said, if you can't think of it from the animal
point, what do you guys gain from that?
What do you gain from option A?
Like food. But B, what did you guys gain from me saying B?
The fact that an animal didn't have to suffer and die. That a living being has now still got its life. That's a massive thing. I mean, I'm sure you value life, right? Life's the most valuable thing anything can have. Anything can have.
Can I try this from a different angle?
I don't mind some people dying, you know.
Yeah, I mean, some people are idiots. So we can get rid of some people, but, you know,
Yes.
but you know what? You know what I'm saying. Here? Life is the most valuable thing that any living being on this planet can have, whether we understand them or not. Like, if we have a choice to not take the most important thing away from them, then we should choose not to. And like I said, the other thing is as well. Think about it if you can't think about it from from an animal contact, think about it from the humans. Okay, so we're talking about me here. Okay, you saw how I was affected by those animals, and you felt for me because you know how much what happens there upset me. So why would you choose to do something that would upset other humans when you know that you would benefit nothing from making that choice anyway? Why would you do it for humans, for the humans that care? All that option A brings is hurt, not just to the animals, but to the humans that care about those animals as well.
Boy.
And you know
I
what?
don't want to hurt you, Chris.
I know you don't. And the thing is, I genuinely think that you do care about these things. I mean, like, surely someone in your family's got a dog or a cat or something, right? Or have you got any pets yourself?
Yeah. I don't have a pet, but my sister has one.
Yeah. And what is it, a dog or cat, was it? Or
It's a dog.
okay, and you get on with it? It's a nice dog?
Yeah, it's a nice,
Yeah,
pretty
cool.
decent dog.
That's it. That's it. You can see that animal and you can see it's nice, and I'm sure you don't want to ever hurt that animal because you're like, no, why would I want to hurt it? Like, it's cool. Like, it's a cool dog. You know, and the only thing that vegans have done is they've just made that connection that you've made with that dog and just extended it to all the other animals. That's all we've done. We've just gone, well, the pig's more intelligent than the dog, so got to keep the pigs, and the cows. They're happy, and these big animals and want to get on with their life. Let's leave them alone, and that's all we've done. We've just taken that same thoughts and feelings you've got towards that dog and just extended it across to other animals. That's literally it. So the thing is, and deep down you do care. I know you do. And the thing is, all that's happening right now is, and what I said earlier is, I think I've just melted. Well, I think me and Michael have just melted your brain, and you're just in a brain melt right now.
Me and Michael, who's that?
Who's on the
Hi,
chat?
Michael.
Yeah, the other person on the chat.
Oh, okay.
Michael, sorry.
Hey, me and Michael.
Hey.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to try something different. So
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I want to see if you would agree with suffering having some intrinsic value and well-being. So imagine that you are God, or a god, and you're about to create a world. So it will be one of two worlds. In one, it will either be a world A, where everybody in it, there will be sentient beings in it, and they will all suffer as much as possible forever. So it's basically hell. Or you can create a world where everyone in it, sentient beings, will have as much well-being as possible forever. Now the crux here is that you will not be in either of these worlds, and there will not be humans in either of these worlds. Does it matter which world you create?
Isn't it this conforming into like a utopia
No.
argument?
What I'm trying to
Which
get
can
at...
never be successfully fulfilled.
No. The hypothetical is very simple. Either you create a hell, or you create a heaven. Does that choice matter? Is that morally neutral to you, whether or not you should create a heaven or hell?
Because basically, if you
Hell's where a lot of people suffer. Heaven's where people get to enjoy lifelong, lasting orgasms.
Yes. Super organisms. Very important. Super organisms.
What if the person that want to eat meat and I have that in heaven, so they can have that super ever long lasting of eating meat?
Sure. Sure.
okay, yeah, but it doesn't come from dead animals. It's just there.
Yeah.
Dang it! What if they enjoy it? Like, I got to get everybody on board. I got to make everybody happy.
Yeah. So basically, all we're basically trying to get at here really is you're just making a choice of whether to be kind or cruel. That's what it is. It's just
Yeah.
kindness or cruelness.
Right.
And unless you've got anything to really gain from this cruelness, then what reason would you ever choose to?
Okay, dude, I gotta point out, man.
What's that?
I gotta point out. Tim said, I gotta point out, like, Tim says, I'm being open-minded.
You are. You're
I'm
actually.
still, I'm open. I'm open-minded, like, since the very beginning that I encountered you guys. I don't know why you guys have this, like, well, not you, but like, why Tim would even think, or his gang would think that I had this mentality that I'm very close-minded. I never was from the very beginning.
I had faith in you, Dahdiy.
It's just a lot of
That's why I
people's coming
kept
at my
on.
throat.
I had faith in you.
Yeah,
I do
just like-
think that it's sort of difficult to gauge how open-minded you are yourself. So it's not that easy to quantify how open-minded you are. But I do agree. You seem open-minded. I think.
Yeah. Actually, right. I want to kind of move on from this because we've kind of. I think we've come to a bit of a end of the ethics.
Could I just
want to
hear an answer before we move on? Just
I don't know if he is going to answer, which is kind of why I want to move it on. Unless you want to give an answer, Dahdiy. If you're not ready to, I can move on. But
sure.
I think, like, I still really, really do view them as food, but you're presenting me in a situation where one food consists of suffering death, one food does not, and with like a pinch of needle getting the blood cells to create new meat from it.
Mhm.
I still view both as food as long as you still get the food to fulfill that threshold as a human being that needs a food, conforming to their personal biases. Of course, I mean, I don't really see much wrong, but I do understand where he's coming from, and I don't want to hurt like people like you, Chris. I don't want to hurt.
well, that's cool.
I don't want to hurt because you feel like that's one of the options that can hurt you if I choose the other one.
Well, it's cool because we're going to move on, and I'm going to try. I'm going to try and help you with this because the thing is, at the moment, obviously, there's basically I would say you just have a disconnect. You just don't see the animal and the food as separate things, which is pretty standard. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move on into more the effects of animal agriculture on humans now. So it's all about the human context now. So I mean, so I don't know how much you know about animal agriculture's impact actually on the environment. Now, there's just to put this into context, okay, there has been 107 billion humans to have ever existed since the dawn of time. Okay, that's how many humans that we think have ever existed ever. Okay. Every single year, we're killing 160 billion animals. We're killing more than the entire of human existence. And that's actually the conservative estimate. The actual, for marine animals, it could be as high as 2.7 trillion a year. Okay, now with all this death and destruction and everything, there is a huge, huge impact on our environment. Like, for example, you might not be aware that because of the pure amount of cows that we're farming, they actually are responsible for more greenhouse gas emissions than the entire of transportation combined. So every single train, car, boat, aeroplane, everything are giving us less carbon emissions than all of the cows in the world. Not only that, animal agriculture is actually the biggest cause of deforestation. It's the biggest cause of ocean dead zones. It's the biggest cause of soil erosion. Sorry, I'm kind of lost my train of thought now. Obviously, it's creating one of the world's biggest mass extinction of other species. I mean, I know we're talking about other species again as well, but just to kind of chuck that in there as well. So with all that in mind as well, and the stuff where we maybe go into kind of the health aspects as well. I mean, it has been shown that animal products, for example, red meat and processed meat have been shown to be carcinogenic by the World Health Organization. Processed meat will give you cancer. That is confirmed by the World Health Organization. So with all this is impacting on us as humans. It's impacting on the world we live in. So even leaving the animals completely out of the picture, Why would we not choose to go to a more sustainable food source such as plants? If you think about the amount of grain that is fed to cows before we then eat the cow, I mean, something like, was it 40%, I think, of the world's grain or more? Actually, it's probably more than that. Yeah, we'll say 40%. 40% of the world's grain is being fed to livestock to then feed us. Like, that grain is not being converted into the same yield of food when it comes out the other side. There's also people in poor countries that are growing these grains, and they're selling their grain to the West before even using this grain to feed their own people in their own country. Humans are severely suffering. We could also talk about slaughterhouse workers and the amount of mental health they suffer from the kind of jobs they do. Mental health, slaughterhouse workers have already been shown to have higher risks of going out and committing domestic abuse or rape or anything like that because it's such an intense job. So completely on a human context, if we can grow plants which take up less room, need less resources, and we can make the same types of food, surely it still makes sense for us to do that for the sake of human beings and the planet.
There is a lot to absorb right there.
Yeah, I did pretty much.
I'm not gonna lie.
So, if you do want me to,
There's a lot.
if you want me to kind of go over any of those bits like in more detail, let me know, and I obviously can. I did kind of just drop a bomb on you there.
Okay.
Basically, unless you can show that animal agriculture is more sustainable and less damaging than to the environment than growing crops, then we're currently using a system which is damaging the earth and damaging us as humans as well. Surely if you're not interested in animals, you should be interested in the well-being of humans, and a vegan diet can increase the well-being of humans as well.
Wait, so what is okay? So let's go over the marine kind of stuff. You know?
Go for it.
What's wrong with the marine stuff?
Okay, well, so for example, like we think about like trawlers, for example. Like trawlers are literally these big heavy nets with claws that basically scrape the bottom of the ocean to get the fish. They're not just getting the fish that are coming out. They're literally scraping up the coral reefs and everything on the floor. They're also picking up all the dolphins and the turtles and everything else, and half of it doesn't even go anywhere. It just gets chucked overboard as bycatch and just dies. I mean, there's reasons things like the coral reefs and stuff are now dying. Like, the coral reefs in Australia have almost been shown to be dead now, which is really scary. That this kind of stuff is happening. We're literally ripping the oceans to shreds. In fact, there was one, I think, scientists that reckoned if we keep fishing at the rate we're fishing now, we're going to have empty oceans by 2048, which ain't that far off. And that's not like completely empty oceans, but I mean, all our fishing stocks will be depleted. And we got to remember as well, we get most of our oxygen from the oceans. So if we're destroying that environment, we're also destroying a lot of our oxygen supply, which is then obviously going to create more, heat into the atmosphere, more global warming, and and it's just detrimental.
Oh, right. I'm gonna come out and say it, man. Like, I'm actually skeptical of global warming.
Okay, I mean that's fair to say.
No.
I mean, even if you're skeptical of global warming,
I'm one of those guys.
The thing is, even if you're skeptical of global warming, you can't say the death of the oceans is going to benefit the humankind or the world. It's not going to.
Right.
So whether you believe in that or not, the oceans getting destroyed is a huge disaster. Of huge proportions. You got to think of those numbers. 2.7 trillion marine animals. There's only been 107 billion humans to ever have existed on the planet. We're talking huge numbers we can barely comprehend, getting dragged out of the oceans. And you think again, all the where do you think all the waste goes for all these cows that are in the world? They're all running into our waterways. They're polluting our waterways. That's ending up, affecting us. is and realistically, you think about the growing population of humans, right? So we've got like what 7 billion humans on the planet at the moment, I think. Like, how on earth are we going to make this sustainable? Like animal agriculture wise, you think how much land it takes to for cattle. It takes a hell of a lot of land, and if we're destroying the rainforests like at the rate we are with cattle and the food to feed the cow, we're not going to end up with any land left. We need to find a way to use less land, and plants will use less land. We can factory farm plants and not have a moral issue. If we start making cows more, and pigs in more intensive situations than we are now, we're talking, they're in hell as it is. We're talking beyond hell for these animals. And I'm sure even you that can't maybe connect to these animals, completely, I'm sure even you don't want that. I'm sure there's a line.
I definitely want the betterment for humans.
Yeah, totally. Did you have any argument against that at all?
I'm still trying to absorb this. This is really new to me. It's kind of like the where we started with like the dairy, and now it's getting me absorbing these things.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you this much: like I'm skeptical of global warming, and I can make the case, for why. Like how people say these factories that the slaughterhouse that produces carbon dioxide and then goes into the global warming argument.
Yeah.
I can make an argument against it, but
yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, you can argue against global warming.
It's methane, right? It's not carbon dioxide, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a greenhouse gas.
Well, yeah. So I can do that, but a lot of these things that you mentioned, I didn't go that far into environment stuff. It's really interesting.
The thing is, I would say, I mean, you don't have to give me a definite answer here, but considering all the information I've given you, will you at least think about the fact that, does this make you consider veganism a little bit more seriously? Do you think we've at least made a case here that needs serious debunking?
I might just make a video.
Yeah,
and then do all the research.
Please do, or and
then say, Chris, you're right here, you're wrong here, or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to, I mean, I know I've given you a lot to process, and I'm happy to, hop on another live stream another time once you've processed it, or maybe you can think about things. I have dropped a lot of info on you. I would say I feel bad, but I don't.
Feels bad, man.
But like, there's some. The thing is, this is the reason. Like, I'm just gonna get personal. This is the reason that I do what I do, because this stuff that's happening is fucked up. It's really fucked up, and there is no reason this needs to happen. Like, and I'm not saying that veganism is perfect. It is not perfect in any way or form.
Right,
veganism is just the next logical step for us to take. It is the next way. It's the next step that we know will make improvements. And I'm pretty sure once the world goes vegan, there will be another step that will come along where people will be like, look, veganism is only doing so much. We still have other issues we need to deal with. We need to take another step. And that's what we should be doing. We should be, humankind should be progressing to, maximize well-being for all of us. And this is just what veganism is trying to do. We're just trying to maximize things. And you think about all these other little things. We were talking about stuff, for example, even things like transportation and the fact that transportation is damaging and all this kind of stuff. Like, who are the people that are going to deal with this more than anyone else? The vegans, because the vegans already give a shit. If all the vegans were lined up, and you say about the vegans, how do we fix the world? They're going to be the ones looking at every aspect. At the moment, who the hell's looking at any of these things? Who the hell's looking at trying to benefit the insects in the crop fields? No one. The vegans will, though. We're interested in helping the bugs, because why? If we can, why not? It's not going to, bees, for example, are very much in trouble at the moment. If bees go extinct, the whole ecosystem could collapse. Like, we need these little insects that are important to how the world works, and no one else is protecting them. It's just with all this, and the fact I've seen things with my own eyes, going back to the ethics stuff as well. I've seen these animals. I've seen them in shit conditions. I've seen them just there suffering. I can't not do something about it. I can't just go home and forget about it. I've got to speak up for them because they can't speak up for themselves. I've got to be that person to be like, this is wrong and we need to do something about it. As I say in my talks, I don't know if you've ever watched my talks I've got on YouTube, but I'm vegan and I stay vegan because I found no reason not to be. At all. I can't find a reason. I look on all things. I remember I went into a meat eaters versus vegan debate group and I asked all the meat eaters, like, send me your stuff, send me your articles, like debunking aspects of veganism and stuff. I'm interested. I want to know. I want to prove, I'm happy to be proved wrong.
I do have one.
What's that, sorry?
I do have one.
Yeah.
I do have one.
Because, if someone could prove me wrong, if someone could actually prove me wrong with a real valid justification, like if someone could turn around and go, well, actually, like, it's been scientifically proven that animals do not feel anything whatsoever and it can be concrete done, then we're all going to have to turn around and accept it and go, we were wrong, you crack on. But until that happens, then surely we should be siding on the facts and the facts we have. Because the facts aren't they're not going the way of eating meat, they're going the other way.
Wouldn't you say that that's actually trying to put your values on the fact that they can feel pain to justify why you don't want to?
Well, yeah, I mean,
kill the animals for food.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I'm never gonna deny that I've got a big emotional attachment to these animals, and I want to make sure they're okay. Yeah, of course, there's emotion in my argument. There is. Like, I would never deny that. But there's emotion because of empathy. There's emotion because I can put myself in their position, and I can't differentiate us. I can't see the pig in the factory farm.
Really?
No, I can't look at that pig in a factory farm and name the difference while I'm stood there and say, well, that's the reason you're in there and I'm not, and that's a valid reason. And I'm pretty sure if I took you to the same place and you saw it with your own eyes and I stood you there and I said, right, give me the reason that should be in there, you couldn't do it. You would just be like, this sucks. Like, whether you like animals or not, you'd be like, no, this is, I mean, I kind of wish I could show you the picture of the pigs I saw. I don't have one around. But I'll have to send it to you or something anyway. I'll send you a little video of it. I got it unlisted on my channel somewhere. But like, yeah, when you see these things in person, it's really, really hard to start kind of pulling out, weak justifications on why they should be there. Like, when you're at a slaughterhouse and somebody's about to go and get a bolt gun in the head or put into a gas chamber, stand there and then think of the justification and be like, right, I've really got to justify this. What is the reason this is getting a bolt in the head now?
But isn't the justification for food more than enough?
No, because we've got other food. If it was a necessity, it'd be different.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't agree that even if you had a food option that had no suffering, you didn't know if you would choose it. So
yeah.
Food is not the reason really for your teams.
Yeah, you can't say we haven't got other food to choose from. It's like everything could be food. I mean, like I said, a baby could be food. I could eat a baby, but I'm not going to because I have other options. I've got other things I can eat.
And then the biases comes into play.
I mean, yeah, bias might come into play, but bias is not a justification.
I mean, I had biases. That's why I ate meat. I had to challenge my biases to stop eating meat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't brought up in a system.
Someone's telling me to read.
This is
Where
going back to the
Oh,
environmental
two secs, guys. Race Lever, thank you so much for the super chat. That was amazing. Apparently,
So
I've got
have you actually?
please read aloud what Tim said about Friended. Okay, hold on. I need to go and find that a sec. Friended's asshole is still recovering from the prolapse he suffered at the hands of Ask Yourself's ass raping. Is that what I'm reading? Or is that the bit I'm meant to be reading, or is there another bit? Trophic levels. If humans became primary consumers, we'd be more energy efficient. I think is what he's saying. Hold on, I just need to...
That argument has already been destroyed.
In what way? What's the argument against that?
Oh, the argument is that I asked him about trophic levels and stuff like that, and he says, I don't know. I don't want to misrepresent him, you know? Like, he says, if plants get their energy from the sun and we eat plants, that'll be a lot more efficient, because if the animal consumed the plants, if the animal consumed the plants and we consume the animal,
Yeah.
that'd be a lot less efficient.
Well, it is, isn't it?
And I told him, I was like,
that's right though.
not necessarily. Not necessarily, because the argument is missing that at a biological structure, we cannot get all the essential nutrient or vitamins from plants itself. We need to get some nutrients from meat.
No, we don't know.
From other animals.
If we needed nutrients from meat, I'd have been dead back in 2002.
Right, but don't you agree that there is one case that I've been arguing with vegan for a while now?
Okay,
Vitamin B12.
I knew that was coming up.
That is an essential.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, okay. Vitamin B12 is not a vegan problem. It's a food problem. In fact, 39% of the US are B12 deficient. 39% of the US are not vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously
B12. It's a good idea to take a B12 supplement the other way.
Yeah, B12 came from bacteria that was, we used to get from stream water or these kind of things. We don't get that now. Our food's very, very heavily clean and all that kind of stuff. It's so clean, in fact, that even cattle are being fed B12 supplements in some cases. So even then, meat eaters are still supplementing their B12 through a cow that didn't get enough B12. So supplementation with B12 is almost
more efficient.
It's almost kind of essential now, and we can get it. It is available, and it's not like really majorly efficient to produce the B12.
So where does the vegan get their B12?
Well, we can get it
supplement.
We can get it supplement, or if you want natural B12, seaweed.
Yeah, seaweed.
How do we determine seaweed is the? How do you even determine seaweed B12 is the natural B12?
Because where else is it going to come from?
there is.
It's not supplemented, is it? They don't rub it into the seaweed.
I mean, you can look. Yeah, you can look at the chemical structure of the of the atoms.
I was reading it's gonna be random, but I was reading an article and it says there's a difference between the natural B12 that humans take and pseudo B12 that is not natural for humans to take. So to say that seaweed and it just claim that it's B12, there needs to be a distinction between pseudo B12 and natural B12.
Okay, but what I would say,
I'm wondering, can you have any evidence that natural B12 is coming from seaweed? That is the essential vitamin that you should be taking.
Let me put it this way: is there any evidence that supplementing B12 and natural B12 is causing any difference at all, or are they doing exactly the same job? Because
I think you're saying that seaweed. You were saying that seaweed in particular, right, had this pseudo. Or did you mean like B12 supplement as well?
No, I'm talking about the seaweed. The supplement is a different argument.
Yeah, but I don't think most vegans would recommend only eating seaweed. I think most vegans recommend that you take a B12 supplement.
Yeah,
right.
But all I'm kind of saying is it doesn't matter whether we get it from a natural source or a synthetic source, unless that synthetic source has got some major downfalls which are not good for us and killing us, which I see no evidence for. Then where's the problem?
Yeah.
Actually,
Produced by bacteria either way.
it's a-
So.
Show me all the vegans with B12
Yeah, it's-
deficiencies. That's what I would say.
well, actually, yes. Again, it's going to be offhand again. Reading the article, it's saying that there's something called analogous B12, which is actually bad for you. And
Yes,
we
but
need
you're
to
talking about the
distinguish
seaweed again, right?
B12 that is analogous B12. Yeah,
That's
I'm
the
talking about the seaweed again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
not just getting all our B12 from seaweed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
I never
argument
eat
doesn't work as
seaweed.
well. The argument doesn't work as well because now that we distinguish that we can't determine the natural B12 from seaweed, the option is to opt in for a supplement. Well, taking a supplement is indirect omission that your vegan diet that you're promoting is insufficient and that needs a component that has to be fulfilled from a
But
supplement.
in the end, who cares? In the end, if the diet I have to
Chris, come on.
consume, if the diet I have to consume is completely artificial, if there's not one natural thing in my entire diet, and it still means that the world is a better place, I'm going to take the unnatural diet. It doesn't matter. We live in 2017. We're not trying to go back to the the beginning of time and live like cavemen or anything.
I mean most people take vitamin supplements, so it's totally fine, except when it's in the vegan context, it's suddenly a problem.
Like everyone
I
does.
mean,
Every single person who goes to the gym is taking protein.
You wouldn't have this argument with someone who takes a vitamin D supplement, right? Oh, why do you take that shit?
I don't mind, but when you're trying to replace the current I'm for omnivorous diet. So if we're trying to replace that with another diet, you got to have its
but your meat is potentially getting
vitamins.
B12 supplements. So if the cows,
I mean that's part of the diet. The supplement is part of that. You can also get. There's a lot of food.
No, it's not.
You're just filtering your B12 through the other animal instead of taking it directly.
Yeah.
That's it. So we're all
There's nothing magical about getting B12 from animals.
Okay, so the argument is that we can extract B12, and you're saying that in the way that these animals are taking these are like similar to the fact that they're taking a supplement.
Yeah, because they're not getting B12 either.
We can get the actual B12 from the animal meat itself. So that the whole thing is part of the actual omnivorous diet.
Yes,
so that is distinguished.
But you can take B12 fortified food. There's a lot of B12 fortified food.
So the vegan diet does not have this. The vegan diet had to actually indicate into an outsourced third-party supplement to actually fulfill this threshold. Whereas
because a lot of vegan food is fortified with B12 as well.
Oh,
you don't actually have to take supplements.
Fortified food.
And the meat is fortified with B12. Yes, and the meat is fortified with B12. So it's the same thing.
In the end,
either the meat is fortified or the
the meat is fortified.
Who cares?
Guys, I'm just going to come out and say
you gotta have to provide evidence for that. So, the fact that you're eating fortified food in a vegan diet as your argument to go against this grail is also the same thing as supplements. You need a requirement from an outsourced third-party source.
Okay. Let's say we do. Hold on. Let's say we do. Who cares? Who really cares? If we can do that and it makes the world a better place, why shouldn't we do it? Simple as that. What is the downfall of us having to get natural B12 when the artificial B12 can lead us to a better world?
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. Let's assume it's the opposite. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, where does B12 come from? The natural
bacteria. It all comes from bacteria.
So we have to exploit these bacteria, microbial animals, to fulfill this
sentient.
synthetic.
Yeah, they don't have subjective experience.
So they're lacking sentience. We can go and exploit them.
Yeah, because they have no subjective experience.
You can't exploit something that doesn't have sentience. Obviously,
it's like me exploiting a thermometer.
In the sense that you can take control of it.
I mean, can you just exploit a rock? Can you exploit a whale? Can you exploit? I mean, the list goes on.
That's a whole different type of variable being introduced. The exploitation is the reproduction of something. A rock doesn't have that property.
Yeah, but if it has no subjective experience about what is actually happening to it, then why does that matter? You might as well go into plants have feelings.
So it's okay. It's just okay that you can pull the plug on somebody who's on a vegetative state.
No, because the thing is, they had life prior to that, so we know that there was life there.
But they don't have anymore.
Yeah, but if they don't,
It's not there anymore. The sentence is entirely moved.
Hold on a second, right? If someone goes into a vegetative state, okay, if there is absolutely no way they are coming out of that, there is no way, then yeah, it's fine to pull the plug because they're not there. They're brain dead.
My God, Chris.
If they were alive before though, and there is a way that they could come out of it, it would be unethical to pull the plug because we know there is a chance of them having life afterwards. The bacteria didn't have life before, they won't have life after, they don't have life, period. They are just insentient, autonomous, what's the word? Autonomons or something, in it? I can't pronounce it.
Automatons, yeah.
Yeah, they just do what they do. They have no subjective experience of anything. Therefore, we're not taking anything away from them. So,
Actually,
it's like, can you exploit a thermometer? Can you exploit a thermometer? Because a thermometer moves due to temperature. It moves. It goes up and down.
Come on, Chris.
No, I'm being serious because if you want to advocate for the rights of bacteria, you can also advocate for the rights of thermometers and iPhones because iPhones are more intelligent than bacteria. They do a hell of a lot more. They can speak in different languages and everything. So tell me why we shouldn't stand up for iPhones or breathalyzers or microwaves. They're all intelligent.
I think that's a very different argument. I mean, different variables
just show that
introduced.
These things can show intelligence. They have signs of intelligence, not sentience. We do not advocate for things just on the fact they're intelligent because technology is intelligent. But if they have no experience of the world, then there's no moral issue.
Bacteria do have experience of the world.
Well, they don't.
You're going to tell me the bacteria reproduce? Come on, reproducing the vitamin B12 for you guys is not
prove to me. Give me the study.
To reproduce it.
Provide the study that a bacteria sentient.
Chris.
Provide me the study that says bacteria is sentient.
It's not about even sentience anymore. It's about the experience.
Of course it is. If they're not sentient, there's nothing there.
Sentience is just another word for subjective
experience.
Yeah, sentience just means subjective experience. So
yeah.
When we say they're sentient, so when we're saying that this bacteria are not sentient, we're saying they lack subjective experience.
And
Same
Dahdiy,
way,
how do you determine that?
Dahdiy, hold on a minute. Can you not start standing up for bacteria when you can't even stand up for cows and pigs? Because cows and pigs are in a lot better situation than the bacteria.
This is a total dead end. Because I mean, the thing is, let's assume the opposite was the case. So hang on. Let's assume that it was the vegan diet that contained B12 naturally, and the omnivorous diet did not. Would that motivate you to go vegan?
I'd say the potential is very high.
So if B12 is naturally occurring in a vegan diet, you will go vegan. But so that's why you're not going vegan.
Because of B12, is that the reason?
Because of B12, is that the reason?
No. Oh my God. Okay, I say potentially high. I'm not saying in an absolute sense, 100%. That is the absolute argument for why I'm not vegan. The potential is there, but
obviously it must be a big factor. But the thing is, I really want to nail down. I really want to nail down why is it such a big factor to you? What advantages has supplemented B12, lacking from natural B12? They're doing the same job. There's no massive, amount of evidence to show that having supplemented B12 is making any difference whatsoever. Any negative aspects. There's nothing there.
Actually, there's a positive difference because if you supplement with B12, you're rarely deficient. But people who just eat meat can often be deficient.
Because we're supplementing B12, it also means that we're moving over to the vegan diet, which then brings in all those environmental things I've said, all the things that happen to the animals. We can eliminate all of that stuff with B12 in as well. You see, so are you really going?
Come on, man.
Okay, you got a choice. You've got a choice, right? You can let all this stuff happen to the world, right? All of that stuff happen to the world, or you can take a B12 supplement. And if you take a B12 supplement, then it all gets better.
Yeah,
It's not even like that, guys. Come on, Chris. Come on, don't do this to me. And it's not like the vitamin B12 is the end all be all for me. It's what I'm saying is that it's a vital point that needs to be established. Is
No,
that
it's
the
not. It's
you did say that the likelihood of you going vegan was very high. If the opposite was the case,
potential.
yeah, it's not vital in
you
any
cannot
way.
backtrack all the time, man. Come
We
on.
can get B12. That is
It is
it.
vital.
That is it. You'd have a case. You would have a case if all the vegans had B12 deficiencies. You would have a case there, but that's not the case, is it? We don't. So I don't.
Case, hold on.
Why are you so scared
The
of
case
B12?
that come on, Chris. So the case I'm trying to point is not because all vegans are deficient in vitamin B12. The case is the dietary system that you're trying to replace, the omnivorous diet.
Yeah.
Okay, with the vegan diet, which is naturally absent of vitamin B12.
Yeah.
And having to resort to third-party outsource when you can obtain that naturally
Yep.
from the meat itself.
Yep.
Why you claim that this diet is a better replacement somehow?
Because how is it not
It's
a better
definitely
replacement?
not there.
How is it not?
Is there anything? Just hang on a second. Is there anything actually different about the B12 in the meat compared to the B12 in the Marmite or the whatever? The fortified food. Is there any? Is there any difference?
This goes back to This goes back to what I said about what they call an analogous B12, pseudo
it's the
B12,
same,
which is actually potentially bad for you.
Let's assume it's the same B12.
It's not the same.
Let's assume it's the same B12. It is the same. It's not analogous in the case of fortified food. It's the exact same bacteria that produces the B12.
Oh shoot.
Let's just for sake of argument. Hang on. Let's just for sake of argument assume it's the same. Does it still matter if it's the same? If it's the same.
Wait. The baby is crying. I gotta go get him.
Oh, so Daddy's actually a daddy. That's mind blown there. How do you think we're doing, guys? Let us know. I can't keep up with the chat. This has been.
God, man, this is.
We're good. We're making progress.
Yeah, maybe.
We're on it.
You're doing good though, I think. Yeah.
Well, by the end of this, I'm getting him to go vegan for a month. I just want to take a time just to thank everyone who's put some money in the super chat. That's really cool. I never get super chats, so that's really, really nice of everyone. Nice. Really do appreciate that. And hopefully that means I can go and do a live stream of Owen, which would be great.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool,
we're
man.
going to go down to visit him. We actually turns out we don't live that far from each other, which is quite great.
So where do you guys live? You both live in the UK, right?
Yeah, I live in Devon. He lives in Cornwall, so we're like the next counties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not really that far. I mean, by train it'll probably be like an hour and a half or something. So it's really not far.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So I must say I'm a bit surprised about the whole synthetic meat argument thing. I did think he was gonna.
Yeah, I think he knows what he wants to say. Just doesn't want to say it.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Hey, he's back. Baby, okay? We all good?
Yeah, it's on my lap right now.
Okay, cool. Right, let's get this B12 thing out of the way because it's starting to annoy me. Right, basically this B12 thing. I'm just gonna be blunt with you, Daddy, because I love you, but this argument's shit. This is a really shit argument, right? And we need to get this out of the way. We really need to get this out of the way, okay? Because in the end, there is no benefits of having the natural B12 to the unnatural B12 whatsoever. In fact, having the unnatural B12 allows people to go fully vegan, which then benefits you in all the other areas that we've spoken about, which you have yet to be able to debunk. So, therefore, taking the supplement is actually the better option if it leads to more well-being for humans and the animals. So,
but
it doesn't matter.
And
also, Tim's also stated that omnivorous diet is also naturally deficient in vitamin D. So do you have a problem with taking vitamin D supplements? Because if not, then you shouldn't have problems with us taking B12 in a vegan diet.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Sweden, so we have to take vitamin D in the winter, most of us. I mean, is that a natural? Yeah.
Is that an essential source?
Huh?
What, D?
Is that an essential source?
Essential source?
Vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is the essential vitamin
Yeah.
that is
Vitamin D is also
essential for
essential.
the human body
Yeah,
to function.
Yeah,
Yeah,
D,
same with
D is
vitamin D.
essential, yeah.
It is?
Definitely.
We get it from the sun.
Really?
If you don't have vitamin
Well,
D,
why don't you go?
what essentially happens is you decalcify your bones become brittle, and you get osteoporosis, and you fall and break your legs and you die. That's literally what would happen in a natural state, and that's why people in the north have lighter skin. So the lighter people survived. They didn't get osteoporosis, so they survived, and slowly but slowly people got lighter skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically how it happens. So it's definitely essential, very essential.
Yeah. But basically,
Okay.
here's where I want to go with this, Dahdiy.
Right.
Right? I've told you all the facts. I've fact bombed the shit out of you tonight. Right? I hope you appreciate it.
Love it.
I've used everything in my brain to do this tonight for you, just for you.
Ooh, thank you.
No worries. It's been my pleasure. Trust me. What I think we should discuss right now, okay, is, I would like you to try veganism. I would like you to try it. I'm not saying you have to be a vegan. I'd like you to try it. What are the things to you that would stop you from trying it? I'm not telling you to go vegan. I'm telling you to try it. How can I convince you to give it a go, even if it's for a week, just so you can see for yourself? Because I think it's easy to talk about something, but if you try it, then you get a whole new perspective. And I'll be interested to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah.
I mean, are you gonna die if you try it or something? Because I can guarantee you won't die. Okay, here's the things I'll guarantee you. Right, 1, you won't die. 2, pretty much all of us in here would help you with food, what to buy, where to buy it, all that kind of stuff. We can give you all the advice you want. You can ask as many questions as you want. And obviously, you're trying it, so we're not going to expect you to carry it on. We just want you to, like Liam said, it's like a fun experiment.
Oh, I'm an experiment. Let's see.
And one thing to bear in mind as well, okay, that there's, like I said, there's no winning and losing with this debate, okay? I'm not in this debate to win. I'm not going to be like, I defeat Dahdiy or something. Like, that's not, that's not how I want it to be. We've had a good conversation. I've really enjoyed it, actually. It's been really good. Yeah. But like, you know how I feel about this. And I just want to make positive change. And I see you as someone who is open-minded, who's listened to everything I have to say. And I just think it would be, I don't know, just a really positive thing for you to at least go, okay, well, yeah, you've said stuff. I'll what's the harm in trying? We're not asking you to try crack or something.
You gotta have like.
I mean, what's your
is there
fears?
any vegan food that's?
What's your fears from it? I guess that's something we should go. What would kind of what you? I mean, be honest. I mean, do you find the whole concept of going vegan? Is it quite daunting to you? Is it quite a scary shift? I mean, you can be honest. It's not like, because I know for a lot of people it is. It's it's like a lifestyle change, isn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally understandable. Like, because because realistically, you're no different to anyone else in this chat room. And anyone else in there. We've all, I think, well, I don't know if there might be the odd person, but we've all eaten meat and dairy for a big portion of our lives. It's just we just learned these things and then made changes, on what we learned. So we're all in the same boat, really. You're no different to me. You just don't know the stuff that I know yet, basically, and we're just telling you it. But the one thing I can tell you is when I did go vegan, I was actually just to actually know my personal story, because it might kind of make you understand me a bit more. So I went vegetarian in 2002 after watching a video on a band's album. They did like a Meet Your Meat video, had all like factory farms and that kind of stuff on it. Before that, I was eating like McDonald's all the time, and just bacon sandwiches for breakfast. All that kind of stuff. And obviously I loved it. It's tasty stuff. I'm never gonna, like I said, I never deny the taste of it. And then I watched that, and I was just like, you know what, I can't justify eating these things if this is what's happening to get it. And I instantly went vegetarian, and I was vegetarian for 15 years. And the subject of veganism, it came up every now and then, and I didn't really know any vegans. It was just I kind of knew about it, but I always thought it was pretty extreme. Like I was just like, what the fuck do vegans eat? They live off grass. I can never do that. I don't even like vegetables. Yeah. Because it might be strange, but I don't like vegetables. I'm a vegan, don't like vegetables. So it took me until 3 years ago to finally give it a go, and it was the biggest anticlimax of all time. I thought it was going to be like the most difficult thing ever, and it was just like, oh, I just pick this up instead of that. That was literally all it was. It was literally just going into the supermarket and picking something different off the shelf to what I was picking before. And I found that majority of the stuff that I was finding, once you find the good stuff, because obviously I'm not going to say there isn't shit vegan food, because of course there's shit vegan food. I'm sure you've had a shit burger in your time as well. We all have. Once you find the good stuff, then it's just, okay, cool, right, I know to buy that now. So you just go in and you buy that. So I know when I want, say, sausages, for example, I'll go into the supermarket, and I don't think you can get them in the US, but I buy Linda McCartney sausages, and I know what I'm getting for it. I know they taste good, and I'm like, cool, right, that's my replacement for that. If I want cheese, I've got a few cheeses I can choose from. I've got one called Violife, there's some like supermarket own brand ones. The hardest part of all of it, to be honest, was just literally relearning that supermarket experience, because we're so used to going to the same aisles and picking up the same products that is where it's daunting. But once you get over that and you kind of know what to pick up, it's simple. And you realize that a lot of the stuff you've been eating anyway is vegan by default. Like, for example, like, I love stuff like Pringles. I can still eat like some flavors of Pringles, like, because they're vegan anyway. And Oreos, I can still eat them anyway. Like, all fruit and vegetables, they're obviously automatically vegan. Potatoes, so you can, and just by being a little bit inventive, you can basically recreate every single thing that you eat now with plants, everything. And the way technology with plants is going as well. I mean, I went to Los Angeles about a month ago now, and I tried the Impossible Burger. Have you ever heard of the Impossible Burger? You familiar with that?
Nope.
No. Well, basically, it's the world's most accurate plant-based burger. Basically, they've made it so accurate it even bleeds. So it's crazy. And my cameraman, because I'm filming a documentary, you see, who came with us, he had gone vegetarian just prior to that, and he tried this burger. I mean, I can't really remember what meat tastes like. It's been too long for me. But he tried that burger, and he was like blown away. He was like, "This is a cheeseburger." He's like, "He's like, this has to be meat." He couldn't believe it. Like, the texture, the smell, the taste, every single bit of it was exactly as he remembered. And he'd only eaten meat like a couple months prior, so he remembered that taste. So this is where we're going with this food. We're getting into a realm where we are recreating all of these things to be exactly the same textures, the same everything. And it goes back to that question we were telling you before, when we've got that choice and we can have the identical thing, and the other option does involve some negative aspects, whether you want to think of the negative aspects of the animals or the negative aspects to humans, the better option is always going to be the option where those aren't there. And that is the world that we're currently moving towards. And vegan stuff is more and more and more and more available. I mean, I don't know where you live. I've actually got no idea. I don't think I've ever asked you. I'm guessing you are in the US, aren't you? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you in a city, or are you more rural, or?
In the city.
In the city, okay. So you've probably got Whole Foods and stuff like that, yeah, and Costco and Walmart and everything. So I mean, you just go into any of those, especially if you're going to Whole Foods, and you just go into the freezer sections for like the vegetarian, vegan stuff. You'll find everything you want. I mean, I remember when I went to Whole Foods for the first ever time, coming from England, and it was like, this sounds really weird, and you'll get this if you ever become vegan. I had to take pictures of the fridges because I was so amazed at how much good food there was in there. I was just like, they've got like about 6 different types of frozen pizza. I was like, what the fuck? And they got all these like different, because all this stuff hasn't come to England yet. You see, we've just literally got vegan Ben and Jerry's last week, which is incredible. I had it last night for the first time. I was like, yes, so good. But yeah, all this stuff's out there, and all it is just looking in those different aisles and being like, so I mean, just say you want, you know, you think like, right, what do I normally eat? Right, I normally have like a cheeseburger with some like fries, and then I might have like, I don't know, some ice cream afterwards. You can go and get that. You can go into any of those places I've just said. You can pick up the Beyond Burger, which is the next best one down from the Impossible Burger. You can cook a cheeseburger that's going to basically taste the same, made of plants. Then you can go and get Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So you're not really missing out. There might be the odd things, you know. I'm not saying that every single thing is there. I like to be honest. I'm not saying that you're going to make that switch and suddenly every single thing that you've ever eaten is now identical, because we haven't got to that point yet. But I would say that the vast majority of stuff is there, and as long as you're willing to just take a little bit of sacrifice sometimes for a slightly different taste, even if it's not identical, it's a very small thing to give up for what's going to make a very big difference to our own health, to the animals, and to the planet. So really, there's no real downside. It's not as hard as everyone thinks. And yeah, we can pretty much all help advise. I mean, most of the people in here are from the US anyway. They know more than I will. But yeah, so basically, I just want you to give it a go. That's what I'm trying to say.
How about this? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It could be potentially dangerous, you know.
In what way? What's your dangers?
I mean, if I tell you this stuff.
Oh, the information you're about to give me, is it going to be dangerous? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, drop it. I've given you enough dangerous facts. Yeah, I can handle it.
Okay, so hold on. Gotta put the baby down. This is okay.
The suspense is so big right now. The chat's gone like deadly silent.
Are you ready?
Everyone's waiting. Yeah, all good, man.
Are you ready?
All good.
What's the other guy's name? Michael?
Michael.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah,
What?
He's ready.
Yeah. Are you
I'm ready. Ready, yeah.
All right. Okay. So, what if I tell you, Chris?
Yes.
Listen carefully.
You're not going to say you're my father, are you?
Similarities. Let's stop it there.
Okay.
Okay, so you gotta listen to this, right?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, so is everybody else in the chat ready? Because I'm about to say this.
Yeah, come on, everyone say yes in the chat.
It's this.
This is big. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited for it.
They're all saying yes.
You've built some real suspense here, Daddy. I kind of like it.
Yeah. It's
it's
not me doing on purpose.
No.
I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just
it's all good.
It's I'm really thinking this through, you know. It's
yeah, of course.
What do you say, baby? You okay, baby?
You talking to me or the baby?
Think I should tell him? I should tell him, baby? Okay. Are you guys there?
Yeah. All here.
Get ready. Okay.
Yeah, let's hear it. I'm ready.
Okay. Oh, do you guys have information on how to grow food?
On what? Sorry.
Do you guys have any information on how to grow food?
How to grow food?
Yeah.
I don't personally. I live in a first floor flat, so it's a bit difficult for me. I'm sure someone in the chat does.
Ah. It's
What?
because
Are you interested in growing food? Are you?
yeah, I'm super interested in that.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure we can get you information on that.
What's the duration of certain types of plants so I can have grow food at a much faster rate, or I mean, which certain type of plant is good for you at the same time has a fast
Yeah.
growing rates, you know, and
Well, we can put that out. Is anyone in the chat knowledge about this? You're more than welcome to hop on. I can link you into the stream if you're knowledge in that area.
I'll tell you guys the huge inshallah here.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So, if you want me to be on your side, Chris, which I am on your side, by the way,
yeah,
but like absolutely 100%, you know, like all honky dory with the pigs, you know, with the cows, the lizards, everything.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, are you sure you want me to be on your side?
Yeah, why would I not want you on my side? Of course I want you on our side, Dahdiy.
Because, dude, I love you, man. I love you. That's because it'll be kind of sad if you don't want me on your side.
No, of course.
So
you're more than welcome.
For me to be 100% on your side, I need to know how to grow the food, because here's the thing, and I've been researching for a while now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so get ready for this. I've been researching for a while, and I think because I'm really close to like the holy grail on trying to solve the world for. I'm trying to solve a huge problem, and that is world hunger.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding right now. So, like, somebody laugh, I'll probably just stop and run out of the stream.
No, you carry on, man.
Yeah, and I think if we can grow food at a rate and eliminate one by one, and how to factor in the food that grows fast and at the same time big yields, at the same time good and efficient and sufficient, requesting all the vitamins that is essential.
Yeah.
Then we can have a normal functioning society where all the homeless people will be on your side, because there will be no homeless people per se that will go starving or begging somebody for food.
Yeah.
Because if we can if I can get these data of this food, because I've already created, well, not created, but I've already theoretically created a method that I've been keeping for some time now, and I think it might just work. If only if I know which food to test on, and I want to know which one grows the fastest and has all the essential ingredients for a normal human body functioning. And if any vegan can provide me that, since you guys all about plants and stuff,
yeah,
or fruits, you can tell me this. I think that is a really huge step in solving this problem for me, instead of me trying to individually and potentially experiment with every single seed that is out there and see which one. That will do a lot of service for my job here, because
I'm sure
here's the thing, so if you remember the stream that I had with you and the vegan gang, the first time we ever met on stream, I told you about the story about me. I want to travel around the world and grow the food on the ass of my car.
Right. Okay.
And just be self-sustaining. That, I think, that would free a lot of people from like just a lot of like having to rely on so many things provided by the government. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of things provided by the government is great, but just the idea, I'm in love with the idea of self-sustaining right now.
Yeah, I think self-sustainability is something we should all be moving to, really.
Yeah.
You know, if we can all start growing our own fruit and vegetables, and especially growing crops closer to home as well, you know, so we can eliminate those, you know, transport and all that kind of things as well. Like, that's all going to benefit in the long run, isn't it? A lot of people are saying potatoes in the chat there. If you didn't see, apparently potatoes.
I love potatoes.
Yeah. Obviously, they're very good. Like lots of carbs and stuff. And
wait, potatoes the fastest growing one? I don't. Last time I asked Ellie on her live stream that I did with her. If you haven't watched, I asked her, you know, potato. It doesn't that like how long does that grow? And she's like a month. Is that really fast, or am I missing something?
Well, I mean, one thing that maybe I should mention, if you are interested in the whole, you know, feeding the world population thing, is kind of going back to when I was talking about the environment and the animal agriculture impact. I mean, one of the big things is, you know, we are feeding a hell of a lot of the world's grain to animals that we could feed to humans. And there's more grain going into the animal than we're getting back out of it. It's not a good ratio. So one of the things that, you know, that could help is that, you know, like I said, is solving that and eating the plants directly rather than filtering them through something else and getting less food out of them. That is a big way to go about it. And also the things I said about as well, like vertical farming, I think is quite a good solution, especially for local farming, because you can do vertical farms anywhere. You can have a vertical farm in every single town in the world, you know, doing every single type of different thing, whether it's tropical or anything, because obviously you can, you know, adapt the environment inside, which saves on all the emissions from transportation and all that kind of stuff. And so there are some solutions out there, obviously. But yeah, obviously, like I said, the stuff being fed to cows is quite a big factor, though. But I mean, I did hear somewhere, I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm not true, but I from what I can gather, the world does actually grow enough food for everybody. But the reason a lot of people don't get the food is not because there's not food available, it's just because of the system that we live in. And food isn't evenly distributed, especially in some of those poorer countries. I think maybe if food distribution was improved, then maybe we would be able to get, you know, all those hungry mouths fed. But I don't know, it's a big topic. It's a big topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. May I ask though, just out of interest, because obviously you've kind of said that from me asking about you trying veganism. So what's the link there? Like, what's the link from me asking you to go vegan to, I mean, the self-sustainability? Is that kind of the way you want to do it? You want to be plant-based and self-sustainable? Is that what you're kind of aiming for?
Not really. I think, I mean, if that sounds bad news to you, but
no. I'm just interested. I'm just trying to work out where you're kind of connecting there. That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh well, what I'm trying to connect there is that if everybody can self-sustain themselves and implement the methodologies that I've created, I think a lot of people don't have to then rely on trying to go out there and utilize money for something that we can grow in the back of our yards.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe use a little bit of money to get certain types of food, such as meat, of course. If somebody, you know, simply wants to eat meat that day, you know, instead of spending a lot of money just to go every day to their, you know, supermarket where they have food and stuff like that, and spending like, you know, 60 to 70% of their money on food. And if everybody can be in that position where a lot of people save money, we can then have a lot of people who, over time, grow food with my methodology that I implement for others.
Yeah.
And hope why do I keep saying I? It's more like an ego thing, I take it back. It's not an ego thing, but I really do care about humans. Because this goes back to what I said before, when I saw you crying for those pigs, this is exactly what I was crying for, is because I can't imagine all those people who are starving to death, and the answer is right in front of our fucking face, and that's why I was crying in relations to you crying. And I was like, dude, we can definitely feed everybody. Why are we kind of like, metaphorically engaging these people in these suburbs or places and shit that don't have food for them?
Yeah.
When we can, the method is right in front of us. Why, dude?
Yeah. I mean, do you see though why, like, this, because this all ties into what we're saying, like this vegan diet and the vegan philosophy more. It's not a diet, definitely not a diet, definitely a philosophy. All these things are going to benefit the things that you care about. Like everything we're doing is we're all working towards the same goals. We want enough food to be able to feed these starving people. We want all this. We're looking to go and do this. And by, like I said, by eliminating the animals, we're freeing up more food to feed to these people. So again, I mean, what would stop you doing this, knowing that this is all working towards ultimately what you care about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Also, something to think about, changing the battery on your fire alarm.
God, dude, I have that issue for like a year, and I don't know. I have no idea how to change it. I'm not about to touch that. And the owner of this apartment is really, like a dickhead too. So I don't want to break anything because I'm planning on to move out. So
yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
It's fine. Bring it up. I kept hearing it beep away in the background there. I mean, like what, I've given you our kind of thing. Every single person in here really is rooting for you. Everyone wants you to just, wants to help you. They want to help all these things that you care about as well. Like we're literally all on the same side here. We really are, except for the animals. I mean, obviously you've just got that disconnect. But everything else you want to achieve, and all this kind of stuff is, we're all on the same page here. We want the world to be a better place. We want humans to benefit from this as well. Veganism, it's obviously the philosophy and stuff is formed around the animals, but it's bigger than that. Once you make a connection with the rights of other beings, it's so much easier to relate to the rights of the humans and everyone else on the planet. It just opens your eyes to like a whole bigger picture. It ain't just the animals are obviously a big thing for us, because they're the ones, to be honest, the animals are getting fucked over more than anyone. Like I said, 2.7 trillion a year. Like, which is why we fight for them as a priority. But obviously, it don't mean we don't care about the humans as well, because we certainly do. I mean, we're all humans. All our families are humans. Everyone's humans. We want a better world for our kids. We want a better world for our kids' kids. We want to just make the world a better place.
Yeah. So, go vegan.
I need that.
You don't have to look at it like a binary thing. You can try it out for like a 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like a trial. It's just like it's just like me saying like, I don't know, for this week, don't eat any ice cream. Just eat some, have some yogurt instead or something. Although I'd never advocate that unless the yogurt was soy, obviously. But you know what I mean? It's, you know, we're not asking you to make a life commitment here. I'm not asking you to marry me or something.
Well, I will. I will.
I bet you will. You got a child. I can't look after the child.
Oh.
That'd be terrible. I think this is something you should give a go, man. I mean, in the end, okay, think about it this way: what have you got to lose, really? In the end, it's going to be a cool experience. You can at least say you tried it. At least you got that. You've got nothing to lose here, really. You might find some real interesting new foods you like. You know, you're learning a bit more about something you didn't know about. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to be a little bit of a better person than you were the day before, and you're just bettering yourself all the time.
Come on. You telling me I'm a terrible person right now?
No. Like we said earlier, you're a better version of yourself. Not a, you know, it's something within you.
I still view animals as food.
You can view them as food if you want to view them as food. Like, I understand you got that disconnect. I understand. I totally do. And sometimes it takes a lot more. Like, yeah, here's a good example, right? I've got a friend called Luke, and he is, you know, I've spoken to him a billion times about this stuff. He's seen all the videos I make, all of this kind of stuff, everything. And he totally agrees with me. He agrees with everything I say. But then he'll turn around to me and he'll say, you know what? Like, I'm still going to eat meat because I'm lazy. I just can't break the habit. It's just in my brain. I agree with everything you say, but
Yeah.
you know, and he's just completely honest about it. He said if there was an argument against, you know, veganism, I would be on your side, but you know, I just can't do it. That click is just not in my brain. If I go to a restaurant, I'm still going to go and order the burger. You know, and I understand some people have that disconnect. And I don't blame them for it. I don't blame them at all. The people that I blame, to be honest, are the industries for hiding all this information away from people. Like, why do no kids know what goes on in slaughterhouses? Why don't we know this stuff? You know, like, why do people think that cows just produce milk? You know, why do we learn these ridiculous things? You know, we should know all of this. We should.
Have you watched any of the slaughter footage that like PETA puts out or similar groups?
He actually got played some during a debate. They put it on. I think it was Owen actually put it on Liam.
Okay.
Yeah, but I understand it. Some people just don't make that connection. They don't, and it takes time. But this is why there's other factors. There's a lot more than just the animals at stake. So, and it's something that I think, even if you don't care about the animals, but you care about humans, I think is extremely beneficial for humankind and extremely beneficial for the world in general, even disregarding the animals.
Does anybody got the ingredients yet? Like, which type of plants or fruit grow fast? Or...
Oh, well, the growing stuff. I mean, I can probably find this out at some point, but like, I don't. I mean, is anyone in the chat got knowledge about this? I mean, the thing is, I'm happy to give you this information, Daddy. Obviously, I am. I'm happy to help you out with getting this, but I do kind of want to push you a little bit on this killer question, so to speak. You know, I'm not going to let you off lightly. This is built up too much. You know, you knew this was coming. You knew this was coming from the moment you met me.
All right, give it to me.
You know, I want you to try it. That's what I'm saying. Or at least tell me like a really valid reason why. Because we can't go on forever. It's like 2:20 in the morning here.
Right.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah, I'm in England. Remember, I'm not in the US. So I've stayed up especially for you. I was only going to do like a hour's stream.
What does the chat says? It says, okay, I'm not gonna read the chat. Okay, so
No, don't read that.
yeah. The thing is that I really don't know. I mean, you're telling me that I should care for the animal, but I grew up in this environment
Yeah.
where we haven't even established this, and you also acknowledge that this line of growing up in this environment, this biases actually exist, and you acknowledge that everybody have these.
Yeah.
You know, not just the meat, but the vegans as well. But then again, we're going back to reality again and say, come on, dude, like we're talking about environments, we're talking about not hypotheticals anymore, right?
Yeah,
Environments that really does impact humans.
All I've done for the past hour or however long we spoke to now is just we're kind of skipping the hypotheticals. I'm just telling you what's going on. I'm just telling you the world facts, and
Good.
you know, all this stuff I can back up. I can send you links to all this stuff. I can send you, you know, like for example, like when we're saying about like the animal agriculture causing more, you know, methane into the atmosphere than I can send you the United Nations report. If you know,
I guess.
I think we can back up all this stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, if what's stopping you from trying being vegan for 3 weeks is knowing what plants grow the fastest, we can totally find out that information for you. I think Liam said that the potatoes grow in like 70 days, for example, which is quite fast.
Yeah,
so we can totally find that information for you if that's what's stopping you.
Yeah, no, I grow potatoes at home, and what I do is I get the biggest bucket I can find, right, a small layer of dirt at the bottom, and then just throw a bunch of potatoes on, then just cover it with dirt, and then like dig it up like a month or so later, or 2 months later, and you've got masses amount of potatoes.
I'm going to need to try that. That's really good.
The bigger the bucket, the better.
That's really good because I've been trying to look for something I can grow in my flat. That sounds like something I could do. That's really good.
Yeah, there's loads of videos on YouTube as well how to do it.
Okay, cool. There you go, Daddy. You could do that in the back of your car. You're looking for one in the back of your car. Potato bucket.
Yeah. I guess what I want is to do this and then bring it out to everybody and say, hey, look, you guys, you don't have to spend that much money. You can grow the food. And here are the methods.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah,
I mean that's great, and I back you all the way in doing that. I mean, like, if we can get people to eat cheaply and grow things at home, I am 100% for that, and I back you all the way. But I am a bit confused why we're kind of going off to there and we're avoiding the.
Right.
Yeah.
So
like I said, I'm fully for everything you're saying. Just to let you know, like growing stuff locally and everything.
Okay.
Like if we can grow potatoes in a house, everything brilliant. If you want to bring information to the table about that, I'll gladly listen. I think it's great that you're looking into that. Really commend it. So yeah, I'm sure everyone thinks the same. I think that's a really great thing you're trying to do there.
Yep. Sure.
But, yeah, but we just want to get you. You know, I mean, you know, even if you want to say no, you know, we just need we just want to get an answer from you of some sort. Even if you're like, look, I want to take in what you've said, I just need to process it all, and I'll get back to you. At the moment, I'll be happy for you to say that. Like, but you know, I'm going to push you about it again. So don't think you get out of it all the time because you know I'll be back.
Have you ever seen Earthlings?
Oh, sorry, were you going to say something then? No? Oh, sorry. I thought someone was going to say something.
Was going to say something?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
I just want to ask Daddy, have you ever seen Earthlings? Because you'd get all the information you'd need about agriculture if you were lacking, if you weren't sure or anything.
Actually, no. To be honest, I think the better thing for Daddy at the moment is because, like, I mean, connecting him with the ethics is going to be a challenge. I mean, yeah, we can show him Earthlings. Basically, Earthlings, just so you know, Daddy, it's a animal rights film purely based on ethics. It's just showing you every single thing that we do to animals in all respects, whether it be clothing, science, entertainment, like all different things. But the one you might connect with more at this stage, I think, would probably be Cowspiracy, because Cowspiracy is very much about the sustainability of animal agriculture and talking about how plants can produce more and be more beneficial for the long term of the planet and for humans. I think that documentary will probably be something you would connect with, because I think we'll get you on the ethics at some point. But I think at the moment, I'm just trying to follow the angles that I can see that you have interest in and that you connect with. You see.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it's called Cowspiracy. I'll put it in the Hangout chat so you can write it down.
Cowspiracy,
it's on Netflix,
I
so it's easy
it.
to find.
I haven't watched it though.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And just so you know as well, it's completely family friendly if you wanted to watch it, if you kids or whatever. There's you're not going to be pummeled with slaughterhouse footage.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The thing is, you're saying that, am I going to do vegan or not? Well, the whole thing that I'm really interested in is that I just want people to have the options. Really.
Yeah, but
like for instance, I told you like the growing method and stuff. People having food on the backyard, but still have the option to go out and buy food without utilizing too much money, because you can grow, I would assume, majority of your food, right on the back of your backyard or your van.
But don't you think we've got enough options? Do you really feel you're going to miss out? Because I think about it realistically, right? How many animals do we eat? Cow, pig, sheep, duck. We could probably count, maybe 10. Most people would probably eat maybe 5 or less. Generally, most people would just eat cows and pigs and chicken. That's like generally. So realistically, if you think about how little options you're taking away, when you think how many foods there are on the planet, there is a hell of a lot of plant foods. Trust me. We're not really taking a major thing away from them, and especially when the option we're taking away has been replaced with something that is basically the same texture, same taste, same everything. So,
what about the nutrients?
What's that?
What about the nutrients, the vitamins?
Well, the thing is, because these are made of plants and stuff, like and they're being man-made, like they can pack them with nutrients. Put as much nutrients in it as you want. We can dictate how much nutrients we want.
Doesn't that prompt you to go out and buy them?
Not necessarily, because if you know enough about nutrition and stuff, and you're growing at home, you just grow the ones that you know are going to provide you the correct nutrition. You see what I mean? There is, whether you connect with the animals or not, there is a big glaring thing connected to eating them compared to the other ones. It's not even like a small factor. It's a huge factor. It's a massive factor that affects everything.
Chris, I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not necessarily sold on the ethics, but we haven't really touched much on the ethics.
Yeah, I understand.
Because we dove into other things.
Yeah.
The nutritional stuff, I'm still up in arms on that. It's still up in the air,
Yeah.
But I'm really sold about the well, I'm not really sold, but like there's a high potential for me to be sold for the environment aspect. And me being a part-time researching scientist.
Yeah.
I do read a lot of stuff that comes in and out, technologies, it's just...
Well, how about this, right? Let's...
the environment. Go ahead.
I was going to say, right, because, we can have another chat, okay? I can pressure you for hours to try and say whether you're going to go vegan. But how about this, right? I'm gonna kind of let you off a little bit here. People in the chat will probably be like, "No, don't let him off." Why don't you go away, watch Cowspiracy, and then we'll have another live stream.
Right. Yes, I'll be more prepared for the environment argument stuff. Not that I'm, entirely against you, but we are both trying to, do what's best for the environment.
Exactly. So if you watch that, then we can then question you on that, because at the moment I do understand that I've basically just fact bombed you with a load of stuff, and there's a lot to take in and a lot to process, and and I do appreciate that there might be stuff that you want to go away with and look up for yourself. Even though I think all of this doesn't really, you could still go vegan for a week and it's not going to kill you, kind of thing, But like, I'm just, I think if you're going to try and get someone to make, because in the end, the thing that I would love is for you to actually go vegan. That was obviously what I would love to do. That is what I do. And if it means that I have to play a little bit of a slower game and I need to send you these things and you need to learn things and we need to talk about things and you need to properly figure it out in your head, then so be it. Like, I didn't go vegan overnight, so I can't expect everyone else to go vegan overnight or from one conversation.
Well, can I bring it up again about the video that I wanted to show you?
Oh yeah, of course. Do you want to link me in the chat, and then what I can do is you can watch Cowspiracy, I can watch that video, and then when we talk again, we can go over both of them.
Yeah, because I think that video definitely explained why I'm sold kind of like dead eye, for lack of a better word, towards animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why you're, the opposite and you're pro the animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think from our perspective, it's at least for me, when I think about suffering in my own life and how that feels, that's something I really don't want to inflict on other people. And so it makes no sense to me why I would want to inflict that on an animal either. So just imagine the worst pain you ever felt. Would you want someone else to experience that pain?
Wait up, I'm trying to find a video. Gotta.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wait. Oh, shit. There we go. I think, that is the link to the video.
Right, I'm just going to grab that link and I'll save it.
I'll watch Cowspiracy. Yeah, and so what is the question?
Oh, bear me 2 seconds. I'm just saving that video in my watch list. Hold on a second. Why is my browser going so slowly? Come on.
But that video goes over, like, it touches on a lot of the
is it the Amazon
ethical issues. Well, it doesn't.
Amazon Indians.
Yeah, it's Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. I'll save that one. And
this guy doesn't trust me. This guy doesn't trust me because I have just a Bieber picture. Okay. Okay. You just look at the link, man. It's like a YouTube watch link. It's not even like a full link, But anyways.
Yeah.
Is that Amazon Indians hunting tapir and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes over like all the ethic issues that, the online vegans and the meat eaters are going back and forth, and explains a lot about, it touches on like in-group, out-group, tribalism, it touches on just the hunting in general.
Yeah.
And tackles the idea of we being omnivorous animals. It's just, that's where, let's say, the black hole that propels me towards life in that direction, in which I view things from my environment, and that's why I cannot be.
I mean, I haven't watched this video, obviously, so I can't say anything, but...
Yeah, I think it's a great idea what Chris said. If you watch Cowspiracy and he watches this video, you can have another chat.
Yeah, but I'm just kind of thinking, like, if you're looking at, if you're taking all these morals from like about Amazon Indians, like I think
Not Amazon Indians.
that's what it says on there. Amazon
The
Indians on the video.
the principles.
What's that? Sorry.
It's not the Amazon Indian. It's the principles that is being shown in the video.
Okay. All right. Well,
It's the understanding of the
I
principles.
won't make a comment on it then because obviously I haven't watched it and I'll just be making assumptions on what it's about. So yeah, that would be unfair to do. So yeah, okay. So what we're going to leave it as then is you're going to go watch Cowspiracy. I'm going to watch this.
Yep.
And then we're going to have another
Okay.
chat. And don't think I'm not going to keep pressing you because you know I will.
Okay. I will be waiting for you.
Yeah. And I'll be interested to see what you think about the film because it's a very, very eye-opening film about, they've even shown it to the United Nations from what I know.
Wow. Okay.
Which is pretty big.
Well, I am hungry because I am here for 4 hours now. So I'll see you.
Yeah, we will catch up very
time.
soon.
See all you guys next time.
Yeah,
right?
just let me know when you've watched it, and we'll organise another, another chat.
All right, yes. Take care.
Great. Yeah, we'll speak to you soon, mate. See you in a while.